congratulations. Yay. Oh, I gotta eat some food. Yep. I keep forgetting. Tuna sushi and maybe a ring buff. Yep. I went through all 10 charges of my ring. I'm trying to get that mad XP. Get up and get a nice mirror point when I get out of this party.
He treated me. He's like asking her, "Are you showing her these messages?" That happens, okay? And it seems like they get back together, but it's still rocky because a year later, and the fall of 2023, again, their relationship is in a really bad spot and they're going to separate. And Micah wants to file for divorce. She files for separation in September, and then in October, she files for divorce. While this is going on, according to members of the church, JP confesses that his marriage was not in a good place and he ended up having an affair with the daughter of one of the church members and sending immoral, ungodly messages and doing messed up things. And he's trying to get better and repent and get treatment. Meanwhile, Micah is confiding to friends of hers that used to be in the church that left after they saw things they didn't like about JP. And so she tells them, she's like, he basically forces me to sleep with him like 3 to 5 times a day. And at night, if I'm tired and I don't want to have sex with him, he will blast loud music in my ear and like drip water on her while she's sleeping. That he started telling her she had to take testosterone to increase her sex drive. Read you what this says because this is really weird. It's hard. I'm just going to read the quote. It says, he also allegedly began engaging in other methods of sexual gratification, methods which dehumanized Micah. Several of these methods, which can only be described as humiliating to his reserved wife, allegedly involved animals, homeless men, and sex toys. Micah's friends were like, as shocked as we were, it wasn't hard to believe because even in front of us, he would talk down to her so much and just like tell her to shut up.
If he didn't like what she had to say or even just a comment that she made, even if it wasn't directed towards him, he would stop her. He would make her be quiet and the light would go out of her eyes and she would keep quiet for the rest of the time.
When Micah files for divorce in October of 2023, she says it's for adultery. Which, remember, this is something that JP really doesn't want. It messes up his whole entire image. Not only does she say adultery, but she accuses him of locking her out of the home, threatening to throw her stuff out, basically abusing her sexually, spiritually, mentally, financially, all of it. That he demeans her in the congregation. Same month that Micah files for divorce, JP does this sermon where he talks about how he's like not doing well and he's taking like all this lithium.
For the past 4 weeks, I've had the most horrible battle and horrible time of my entire life. I'm seeing a psychiatrist every week. I'm on 900 milligrams of lithium. I'm seeing a counselor every week. I'm going to inner healing. I'm going to deliverance 3 times a week with pastors in the area. I'm so depressed. I want to die. I'm battling suicidal thoughts. I have unforgiveness, hatred, demons coming out of me. I'm in such a bad place. I spent my Friday night in Kelly's house with women over 50 years old watching them play bunco. That's how horrible I'm doing.
Although JP is telling everyone publicly, even now, that Micah has this major mental illness and talks about taking her life and has to be on lithium, it's actually him that is doing that. They say he projects a lot. A month after this, November 2023, Micah's sister calls 911.
He said he's texted her threatening that he's going to kill himself.
Yeah, he said my blood is going to be on your hands. But prior to that, he was threatening to come in here. He said, call cops, I don't care. I'm armed and ready.
Micah's sister calls 911 because of text messages that JP sent Micah where it sounds like he is threatening to end his life. Okay, I'll show you the screenshot. It tells her, my blood is on you and my kids will know. I couldn't take it without you. All you had to do was come home to me, but you wouldn't do it. I'm done. All you had to do was love me enough to drive home to me, but you don't even care that much about me.
Out.
I love you. I'm sorry. Tell Sierra I'm sorry. He's saying he has mental illness and he has to be on this heavy medication. He's threatening to take his own life. But yet he's saying that Micah is doing all these things. So maybe both of them are doing it. I don't know. But now it is a couple months later. It's February 2024. A few months after this incident in November. And a few months before Micah is going to end up dead. February 8th, she gets admitted into the mental health facility for 48 hours involuntarily. When she gets out on the 10th, she can't find her car at this Walmart parking lot. Her purse, all this stuff. The facility people are like, your husband took it. 2 days after she gets out of this facility, she withdraws the divorce on the 12th. On the 13th, the divorce filing is dismissed, and the reason is that they're going to try to reconcile. There's also a post-nuptial agreement that is signed in February that states that the funds and the accounts to do with this charity in Africa to start a school is all in Micah's name. This is going to factor in later. On February 21st, we have Micah filing a police report where she says that she was fraudulently committed to this hospital and her husband stole her stuff, took her login information, her car, her phone, and that he's been grooming her since she was 10. And then there's all this confusion that happens about this 10 thing because They met in 2009, according to JP himself, when she was 15 and he was 30. That's when she joined the church. So her family, they think that she meant to say that he's been grooming her since 2010, not since she was 10, because that actually makes sense with the timeline. But in any case, she says that in the police report. Police then go and talk to JP, like, these allegations have been made, and he says to them, listen, my wife, she has like major mental health problems and she has these episodes, and she was going through an episode, which is why I had to put her in the hospital. And the reason why I took the car is because when she has these episodes, she makes rash decisions, like she's going to sell the car and do all this. And so I just needed to get things away from her until she sort of calmed down from this episode. And that's it. And the grooming thing, it's nonsense and blah, blah, blah. So because they were still married and the car was marital property, they couldn't say that he stole the car. And so nothing really came from that. Micah then moves in with a friend. Her dad helps her get another car. She's trying to get back on track from all of this. And then 2 days after she filed that report, JP then files for separation from her. That same day, there's this incident that seems to have happened where JP met this waitress, and there's a receipt, his name on it, and his phone number, and a smiley face. And then, according to the waitress, they were exchanging text messages where he was basically asking her to send him bikini pictures. So here, text messages, he's saying he wants a bikini picture of her. She says she doesn't have any. He says, come on. And okay, no bikini. And then she's like, no, I think most of the time when I'm in a swimsuit, I'm in a mermaid tail. And then he's asking if she's getting his pics. And then he's like, well, do you have one with just a mermaid tail? And she's like, no, I don't think so. He's like, well, give me something. I'm trying to send stuff. And then she sends a picture and he says, wow, you're super hot. And she asks him what he does. He's like, well, she's like, well, LOL. And he's like, I'm a senior pastor of Solid Rock at Market Common, and I'm headmaster and founder of Faith First Academy. I'm going through a divorce due to my son, soon to be, ex-wife, is bipolar and schizophrenic and left town after she got out of the mental hospital for the 7th time. Sad face. I'm also an owner of Crocodile Rocks at Broadway at the Beach. Smiley face. And he sends a link to a Facebook video of him preaching. Pastor to the Palace, number 6, don't be jealous, is the name of the sermon. JP also does this sermon where he shows text messages from Micah's phone, because remember, he has her stuff, her phone and stuff.
My wife went in the hospital. I looked at her phone and I counted over the past 2 years, 18 people who would text her and said, if you ever want to talk about your husband, you can talk to me and say anything and I'll keep it confidential. Hey, does somebody want to hear what somebody else says about their spouse? And 2 of those 18 were men. If someone wants to call you and say bad things about somebody else, that's a demon talking to you. And the only way to respond is with the word of God. This is the worst sermon I've ever preached my whole life. God is so good to do that every single time. That was wrong. I told you I shouldn't be here today.
Kind of making her look bad in front of the congregation. Now we're at the beginning of March, and there's this other incident that happens. And this is when Micah ends up filing a police report because her tires are slashed. She tells the cops that she's driving, she hears this popping sound, there's this metal thing in her tire, and that this happened before already. And the officer looks at it and he sees that it is this device you can buy online that is designed to make, flatten a tire, deflate the tire basically. She says that she thinks it's JP, that he's been acting weird, and she feels like he's following her or watching her. And the police said that there's not enough information for them to really do anything about it. And so that's it. Micah then goes to Honda dealership so that she can get the tire fixed. Well, guess what? She gets confronted by JP, who happens to know where she is. She pulls out her phone to film him.
Walk away.
The pictures.
Do you want to go to jail?
They'll be on Facebook in a few hours.
Alrighty, you'll be in jail in a few hours. Walk away.
She then ends up calling the cops again to tell them that this happened. She gets a phone call from a no caller ID number, and the cop is there. This is in the police report. She picks up the phone and it's him. So she tells the officer, look, he's calling me. So the officer takes the phone and speaks to JP. The officer said that the suspect was advised that the victim does not want any further contact, and if he proceeds, then warrants may possibly be written up. The officer also writes in the report that the victim advised me that she was afraid for her life. She also advised that she blocks his numbers and still gets calls and texts from him on other numbers. So the officer left, okay, while the mechanics are working on Micah's car to fix
Oh
the
my
tire.
God.
They discover that there's a tracking device on the car, and they tell her that. They show her the tracking device. Micah then calls the cops again, and she's like, guess what? They just found this tracking device. Now I know how he popped up on me right now. My tires were slashed. Like, I'm gonna file a restraining order. And so the officer says, okay, do you have the like tracking device?
I have
Can
2
take the
mirror
tracking
points.
device? 'Cause she
Yeah.
has to file a report about this of what's happening. So they agree to meet at the courthouse, she and the officer, so that he could get the GPS tracking device, and she's gonna file the restraining order. Well, guess what happens when they get there? This is what the officer says. It says, while I was standing out front of the magistrate's office with the victim, a white in color Honda Accord slow rolled down Scipio Lane in front of the magistrate's office. Miller said the suspect was driving her car. The vehicle sped up and drove off. The report ends and no charges were filed. That's on the 11th of March. 2 days later, JP files a police report against Micah, accusing her of stealing money from the Africa Fund, which, remember, I mentioned to you earlier, there was a post-nuptial agreement, so financial agreement after they're married, where he gives her access to those accounts. But he's now in this police report saying that she stole that money. And this is 2 days after she filed a report. So it seems like retaliation, allegedly, I don't know. But nothing comes from that either, because the police were able to prove that she had documents that made her believe that she was allowed to take that money. 5 days after that, remember, this is a month before she's found dead. 5 days after that, Micah posts a video on Facebook.
Hey everybody, I just want to let you know that I'm alive and well, and life's been kind of crazy. My heart and the prayer is that the church would stay strong, that y'all would stick together, because the church is God's people. It's not a man, it's not a person. When your world is shook up, you need to take a pause. I'm trying to get my priorities straight right now. And that's making sure that my heart doesn't have any unforgiveness, bitterness, resentment.
4 days after this video, she posts another video on Facebook. And this one, she is talking about abuse and divorce. And she looks kind of distraught. She's talking about being made to take drugs against your will.
So today my heart's a little heavy. I've had a lot of women that have reached out to me about situations of abuse. I think I forgot. I knew, but I pushed it in the back of my head just because of my situation. But you are the bride of Christ. Before anybody else's bride, abuse is abuse. And my Bible says that he took all the abuse you could think of for you, so that you didn't have to live that life of slavery. So you don't have to stay in a abusive relationship.
You don't, girlfriend. You don't. No.
Sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs, or alcohol abuse, or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, you're not giving it your all when you know you are. God hates divorce, but why? According to
God doesn't hate divorce, or it wouldn't exist.
It's because it hurts people.
Ha! Poppycock!
But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that?
2 days after this video that she made, she finds another tracking device on her car. Okay?
Sometimes bad things happen to good people.
Files a police report.
Because it would be boring and it would suck if it didn't, you know? Sometimes bad things happen to good people. And while I'm not saying divorce is good or that God likes divorce, I'm saying that God doesn't hate divorce, though, or it wouldn't exist. I think God thinks divorce is probably part of the big plan, or it wouldn't exist. Same argument can be made for heroin or war. It's kind of fucked up, but I mean, like, does God really hate war? If God hated war, would it exist?
On the 26th. 26th of March is
welcome to my Christian channel.
Okay. According to her family, she
sorry.
got a restraining order on him. April 8th, 2024, Micah files another police report on JP. This time it's because he posted her nudes. So I want to read you the from the police report. Okay, it says responding officer met with the complainant who advised her soon-to-be ex-husband posted a nude photo of her on a Facebook page called Big Boobs and Nice Curves.
What?
An old Facebook account that he has access to. The complainant further advised he is the only person she has ever sent that type of photo to, and the photo that was posted was one she sent him 6 months ago. Complainant was able to show responding officer the photo in question. Although the complainant's breasts are exposed, the nipple is blurred out, not meeting SC code for of law for nudity. Furthermore, the post of the complainant on the big boobs and nice curves was posted anomalously. Okay, I think JP, or whoever posted it anomalously.
Anomalously.
The complainant was further advised that once a photo is sent, the person who the photo was sent to is now the owner of the photo, and there is no way to actually prove he was the one who actually posted the photo. Turns out JP did admit to posting the nude stuff. He sent this email to Micah where he says, "I'm sorry for putting a picture of you on the internet. It was for less than 1 hour and immediately taken down. I was hurt that you are telling everyone horrible, intimate details of my past sin, and I just wanted to try and hurt you. Please forgive me. It was evil of me to do that." A week after this, Micah finds another tracker on her car. So at this point, I'm losing track. She had 1 in March, 3, I think we're at 4 now, or 3 trackers. And this is when she again files a police report.
This party's really good.
But because they're still technically married, she is told by the officer that this is community property. Like, he can put a tracker on the car if he wants to. So there's nothing really we can do. So the next day she files for divorce. There's also an email that is sent around this time from JP to Micah, basically apologizing for doing that. He says that when someone hurts me, I try to hurt them back rather than forgive. Instead of me forgiving you, I just attack and try to cause pain, and that he was mad that she put her family before him, and that made him want to hurt her. So 15th of April, she finds the tracking device for the 3rd time. 16th, she files
tracking device.
April 25th, JP is served with the divorce papers. There's proof of service. It happened that day. 2 days later is when Micah is found dead. So now we need to go through the timeline because
she serves him with
the crucial
papers.
Part of everything. So he's served on the 25th.
He kills her. Oh my God.
He supposedly leaves the Myrtle Beach area and he goes to Charleston. He goes with a girl, a romantic interest that he has, according to police.
Who lives in Myrtle Beach?
There are witnesses there who say they see him there. His vehicle is seen leaving the area, and he spends the night in Charleston. The next morning, which is the 27th, this is the day that Micah dies. You can see at 10:13 a.m., Micah leaves her home. She comes back at 11 a.m. on the Ring camera. She then leaves again at 11:38 a.m. See her on the Ring camera. At 12:12 p.m., she's seen on store surveillance going into Dick's Pawn Shop in Myrtle Beach, where she is seen purchasing a firearm. It's a 9mm Sig Sauer, and she buys ammunition as well. She leaves there at 12:34. At 1:06 p.m., she is on the freeway. At 1:27 p.m.
I wonder if she got her gun license that day.
41 Grocery and Grill in Mullins, and she has a mapped route that is going to take her to the Lumber River State Park. And according to police, when they searched her phone, she searched National Park near me, and Lumber River was the closest one. According to the gas station owner, they say that she got a drink, came outside, used the restroom, got her gas, and left. They said that she was acting regular, nothing concerning about it at all. At 2:22 p.m., you see JP's truck coming back to Myrtle Beach from the Charleston area. The vehicle's tinted, but according to police, there were people in the car with him, and he wasn't alone, and he came back. 30 minutes after this is when Micah calls 911, and it's that infamous call where she basically says she's going to kill herself.
Robinson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
You don't know where you're at?
In National Park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
843.
Where's the park located at?
In Bear Bluff. I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay, I'm showing, hold on one second. I don't think you are in Robinson County. At the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Tell me what's, happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Aww.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
According to Micah's attorney, Regina Ward, she believes that Micah may have been under the influence when she made that call, because she said that the way she sounded was totally different, like she sounded sedated, drugged, and that she already knew that there was this history of JP giving Micah lithium.
When you're mentally ill, it's the one sickness you have that you don't know you're sick. And you have to trust people around you, because you're saying, no, they're lying to me. They're telling me I need medicine. I don't need medicine, because the thing that's sick is your mind. And your mind is what you need to realize that you're sick.
Forcing her to take testosterone, allegedly. There's Micah in the Facebook thing talking about being told to take drugs.
Whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs.
And so she wonders if Micah was somehow given something and wasn't really in the right frame of mind when she made that call. The call was made at 2:54 p.m. After she hangs up, dispatch sends police over there. There's drones, cops, everything. They're trying to find her in her vehicle. And while they're looking for her, this person comes who's at the park. And it is a man who says that he found a bag with Micah's ID in it, and that he heard someone crying, and then he heard a gunshot. And that's when he found Micah's stuff.
If it would have been a person out there crying in the open where I could see him, I'd have checked on him all day long. But as far as the yes, I mean, I just wished I could have went in there and checked on him.
They have Micah's stuff, but they still can't find Micah or the firearm. At 4:30, they get a call from someone who says they were kayaking and they found a body, and it's Micah's body. At 7:11, the gun that was used that killed Micah was found in the water. The next day, which is April 28th, is when JP announces his wife, soon-to-be ex-wife's death to his congregation. That's the video that goes viral and starts everything.
And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement. Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give. Y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come.
The suspicions were immediate.
You mean you were cheating with prostitutes and dudes and little boys, and you're a weird freak,
basically telling her that she was
and you
afraid
fucked
for
her up.
life. So this is the quote, okay? It says that one of her closest friends recalled a haunting conversation with Micah in the midst of her final attempt to escape her marriage. My husband's gonna try to find me, Micah said during the late night call, according to her friend. He's gonna say I killed myself, telling the whole church, every sermon, every opportunity he gets to tell the church that I have a mental illness. You know, he's threatened me with a gun before, and he told me I will never leave him. He's never gonna let me go. There's no way. He said it to me. He said, there's nowhere you can go that I can't find you. She said, I'm scared. I'm genuinely scared. I think I know too much, and that's why he wants to keep me quiet. That's why he wants to shut me up. They say that when it came time to see Micah's body, JP basically wouldn't let them see her body unless they signed off on a cremation.
John Paul stating that our parents had to sign the cremation order before we were allowed to see her, it just raises a lot of red flags for us.
So that there would be no autopsy. And then the sister says that when she saw the body, she saw that there were bruises.
There were definitely bruises on Micah's hands. There's no chance of body bruising after the heart stops.
Documents, emails, things that Micah was keeping track of for the divorce, that was all gone. According to JP, he ended up doing this live interview with a content creator called Justin on TikTok.
Hey, are all these people are watching this right now?
He's got way more people.
Yeah, and if you want,
how many people are watching?
Off, if you want the comments off, I can turn the comments off. No, I don't mind at all. I don't mind the comments at all.
How many people are watching in your live?
I don't mind the comments at all.
I think 5,400. 5,400, and I would imagine with your face here, it's probably going to go up exponentially. Are you a crime person, or are you you just gotcha? You know, like what is your passion for this? Gotcha. So my platform is true crime and
what's with that tattoo?
There is some narcissistic, toxic family stuff, which is how the platform started. I've also written 2 children's books over that. Wow, that's awesome. That's great.
He explained that he wanted the autopsy, but they didn't think it was necessary.
Yeah, why did you have her cremated? Someone said. I did that because that's what she wanted. We talked a lot about what would happen if one of us passed, and that's something Micah wanted and something I want as well, because we don't believe that the body matters as believers.
Why no autopsy?
I asked for an autopsy when I was there Sunday, and I asked I either asked the head nurse or asked the medical examiner, somebody. They just brushed me off and said there's no need. But then I said, well, what about, finding out that she was on medicine, or what kind of medicine, or if she was pregnant, or anything like that? And they said, you need a toxicology report. I said, okay, well, I want that. So they said, yes. So toxicology report was ordered. I did every single thing.
He's lying out his ass. You can see his eyes access as he lies.
That was the only one.
You have this May 1st incident where it's just like 3 days after Micah died, and JP is out with a woman and he's seen laughing, and people looked into who she was, and they're saying that she's dating him, and they're dating, and then she was saying that they weren't, but then the ex-wife filed something recently where she was saying that they're romantically involved and that her husband suspiciously died.
What?
2 weeks after confronting them about their affair, that like their kids played soccer together, and they were.
He might have killed the husband.
Affair, and she thinks it's weird that they're together and both of their spouses are dead. So it says here,
well, yeah, I think it is
spending
weird.
time with his now paramour, Susie, who is the mother of one of the boys that plays on our son's soccer team. JP began using our son to facilitate times he could spend with Susie, which our children were well aware of. Their friends talked about it, and it caused them a tremendous amount of embarrassment. When I learned JP was exposing our children to yet another one of his adulterous affairs, I confronted JP and Susie and told them not to let it happen again. JP called me the day Susie's husband died in an alleged drowning accident, extremely upset, and asked me to pray, which was incredibly bizarre. Based upon information and belief, just 2 weeks prior to this incident, Susie's husband had confronted JP and asked him to leave his wife and children alone. It is chilling to know that the spouses of both Susie and JP are now dead from tragic events. On May 10th, there's this explosive Facebook post from an follower or church member. This video of JP like freaking out.
JP, you all right, man?
Oh my God.
You okay?
Take some lewds.
What's the matter?
You on that Xanny?
What's the matter?
You on that Xanny? You are, aren't you? You're on that fence. You're on that fence.
Somebody helping you? Oh, okay. 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 So, is your medication something they gave you? Yeah. You want me to make sure Mark's coming?
No, I need you to call 911, moron. You needed to do it. You needed to call 911 some like 90 seconds ago, moron. Get going.
Okay.
I don't like you. You're not using your brain. Get on 911. Let's go.
Do I need to call 911?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. 45 seconds ago. You needed to call 45 seconds ago. Yes, you do. Are you getting it? Are you getting this? Are you with us? Are you with us? You killed your wife. You killed your wife. You killed your wife. You killed your wife. You killed your wife, though. You killed your wife, though. I'm not very sympathetic to you. I feel like you killed your wife. I think you're weird, and I think you're a rapist and a child molester, and I think you killed your wife. And I don't have a lot of crocodile tears for you. Oh, I'm sorry. You're the one with crocodile tears. I'm sorry. No, your crocodile tears do not move me. No, your crocodile tears, they don't move me. No.
It's just...
You kind of killed your wife. You killed your wife, you fucking asshole. The fuck's wrong with you?
What kind of medicine do they have you on?
Xanax, fentanyl, methamphetamine, alcohol.
All right, well, somebody's gonna come, okay?
Just like everybody else. Did you kill your wife? Oh my god.
I think medication or something he said, and he feels like ants was crawling on him and stuff.
Allegedly, they're saying around 2015 time when he was caught in that affair with Micah. Okay, but I'm not 100% sure. But it was released
like Beaker from the Muppets. He sounded like Beaker from the Muppets.
Caption or post, whatever you want to call it, that I need to read to you because it is insane. Okay, so Ty Longerbeam posted this May 10th, but the person who actually signs it at the bottom is Kyler Mario. Okay? I'm going to read you the post and I'll show you the video. The video is insane. Okay, it says here, I believe this saying goes, getting a taste of your own medicine. And I mean that quite literally. You have used and abused for way too long, only to get up on that pulpit and consistently discredit your victims by airing out intentional, degrading, inappropriate personal information. Doing that allows you to control the narrative. Now we have the death of your wife that you claim they took her life because of mental illness. Fact is, nobody was ever mental until they met you. You are the common denominator in all of this. This video is only proof that you yourself have issues and you know what medication can do to someone. Imagine being in a vulnerable state like this and being met with control, manipulation, and shame. What's the long-term effect on that? Now add abuse on top of that. All forms that may apply. Who can handle that? Yet you were met with a soft tone and a water bottle that you didn't deserve. JP, I could have done this anonymously, but I want you to see it's coming from me so you don't go after anyone else. You know I've got receipts, and you know I'm not scared. I've never met anyone like you, but what I have learned and been taught is people like you repeat their behavior, and every so often they slip up and show you who they really are. Sometimes they even type it in an email. I think it's abundantly clear that you haven't been held accountable for any of your actions over the years, and I never hit the recycling bin. Ooh. Damn. Solid rock. Let me introduce you to your pastor. You don't see this version on Sundays. This is the guy you allow to give you and your family counsel. This is the guy you give permission to speak into your life. The guy you share personal, vulnerable information with that he will use against you when and if you question him. It's time to really take a step back and evaluate what's going on. JP, you are a complete shit stain to all of the other pastors that truly desire to lead people to the Lord. You are a liability to the Christian faith and to anyone that you set your eyes on. The reason why most people didn't speak up the first time is because they know your reaction is ruthless. You have a little bit of local power with enough financial resources to hurt people legally, and they fear putting their family at risk. And the few others that don't speak up believe it's not the Christian thing to do. Well, neither is doing nothing. I also believe Jesus flipped over some tables. So here we go. You've already had the chance the first time around, quote, for a time of healing, counsel, and guidance pursuant to our governing instrument, end quote. Second time your reverend had to give that same PR speech to a church body. Yet you choose to smack every former member.
You think Jesus flipped some tables? Do you?
So please don't.
Jesus is the table.
Broken man who misses his family. This is a twisted individual using one of his many tactics to manipulate his way back into control. But his target didn't let that happen. She kept her foot down, and you changed gears and got nasty. Over the years, his ways to manipulate have only gotten more effective with precision. To the ones who are the reason I'm involved, I won't name. I hope you understand why I had to do this. Enough is enough. Some want to raise awareness and most want justice. Godspeed, JP. If you know, you know. Internet, do your thing. Kyler Marlowe, Micah Miller, Justice for Micah, and many others. So, it's like, I know it's not funny, but I also did laugh.
I didn't laugh.
Like, maybe I'm a bad person for that. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, mirror
also,
point.
It kind of reminded me, maybe I'm delirious from how much footage I've watched, but it reminded me of that TikTok that's like, you know the one, the little green fluffy?
Here's some water, JP. You want some water?
There we go. To get your fever.
You want to try to sit up? You want to try to sit up, or you want to put it to your mouth, or what?
Does he really need water? Oh my god. It's like a living unhinged cartoon character.
Is that enough? You want more?
I don't force feed men who are having a tantrum. I call 911.
If Mark can't make it quick, you want me to get your mom over here?
I'll get your mom. I'm gonna have a stack of tree cuttings after this. Nice.
Moving on. The day after this sushi thing where they're laughing, JP does an interview with media where he's crying.
She was probably the greatest wife anyone could ask for. She was incredibly affirming. We spent every night together for hours just talking and talking and talking.
People noticed that he's wearing this necklace that was the same necklace that Micah was wearing, and he addressed
what?
This when he did that live.
He kept a fetish?
She passed away on the Saturday, and then Sunday when I went and saw her, they handed me some stuff, and that was one of the things they handed me, and that necklace was, for some reason, she's heard a story. Micah was very, she could hear something or see a commercial and then immediately want to act on it. And so she heard about these lab diamonds last year. And so even though she loved her wedding engagement band, she wanted the real diamond taken out of that. And she wanted a lab diamond.
He sold the diamond.
She wanted to get rid of that diamond. So she wanted to put it inside of a necklace. And so I had it made into a necklace for her. He was wearing that, and the nurse gave me that on that Sunday. And so before I even left the hospital, I already had it on. Okay. Just not taken it off. And actually, I forgot it was on the next day or two or whatever the interview was. But yeah, it's a girl necklace, so I just wanted to feel close to her, so I wore it
Let me give it to you.
Some people are speculating. They're like, oh, it's not just that he wanted to wear it, it's the trophy. Like that he's, allegedly this killer and it's just a trophy, like serial killer shit, allegedly. The day after he does this interview is when Micah's sister, Sierra, files this affidavit where she wants to get control of things like her phone and all the things that have very important information on what could have happened, which are currently in possession of police and would go to JP if she doesn't intervene and file and say, I think it should go to me and we should control it, because she said that she's aware of all this abuse that's been going on and that Micah explicitly said to her, if I wind up with a bullet in my head, it's not me, it's JP. The judge agrees. JP comes out, of course, and denies the allegations and, reiterates like that she was really mentally ill and he tried and couldn't and all of this. May 5th, which is when there were 2 memorials for Micah. Her family did one by the beach, and then JP did one with his church.
So weird.
Speaking for many years, and for the first time, I don't really know exactly, how to open or how to function any of that. Lay next to her body and been down with her body about 4 times this week, and each time it still didn't hit me. I thought she was going to wake up. I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week. And
You're a pastor.
I went to the mall later. She had bought me this dog tag, and the chain broke, so I went to the mall to get it fixed. And I saw a female about 20, 30 feet in front of me, and she was wearing one of Micah's dresses. And she had the same tattoo Micah has on her arm and the exact same hair. And out of just instinct, I screamed, Micah!
Micah!
And it was one of her sisters. I thought I raised her from the dead. She's alive, I can't wait to see her again one day. There was a time where, for several months, I got into those Pitch Perfect movies, the ones where the girls sing a cappella, and I thought Micah loved it. So we watched them like almost every night. We were watching a different Pitch Perfect, and we rewatched them, and it shocked me. But after 15 times of watching the movies, one night she said, I don't like any of these movies. And she had never had a mango before, and handed it to her, and she bit it, and here's what happened just a few minutes later after that. She's so up on the mission trip. Let's see, what's the next picture? She was so creative. Everything she did was so creative.
You are such a psycho, dude. You killed this lady.
What's the next picture? Next picture.
What about the last 2 wives? What'd you do to them?
I'm a comic guy, right? She dressed up like Mystique, the last one. So the next picture, she would write poetry. And I thought, what kind of woman, writes poetry? She always had different ideas. She'd come home with a different idea every other day. I want to create a water bottle. I want to, make peace in the world. After that, she'd forget about it after 3 days. We came back from the Africa trip, and she said, I want to start a school in Africa. It's not like you can talk to the Africans during the day because the time difference. There were over 300 children that came out of the woods, literally just started walking from miles away just to be part of the school.
What? I mean, are you clapping? Are you laughing? Are you crying? Are you happy? Are you laughing?
The day after the memorial,
You fucking psycho.
officially say Micah took her own life officially. No foul play, and they explain everything I told you about earlier, like the footage of her buying.
She probably did. She probably did.
Call where she says she's gonna do that. They're like, listen, we get it. There's a lot of people talking about this, but this is what the facts say. We don't deal in conspiracies. This is the facts. She did this to herself. The medical examiner clarifies, like, she was not shot in the back of the head, like people are speculating, and they talk about how JP wasn't even there. They have his vehicle, which people pointed out, it's tinted. You can't really see who's in there. Eyewitnesses say that he was there with someone, with that Susie allegedly, and that they were with people, and he wasn't there when she did this to herself. Regina Ward, the attorney for the family and Micah's divorce attorney, she came out and she said she didn't feel like the sheriff's investigation was thorough. She said that the report did not identify witnesses who corroborated JP's whereabouts, and that there was no autopsy done, gunshot residue tests. They're still waiting for the toxicology, and she just doesn't feel like they investigated it thoroughly enough. This is another really interesting thing that came from the affidavit that was filed recently by JP's first wife, Allison. The reason why she even filed this is she was saying that ever since Micah's death and all of this transpiring, JP's been acting very weird, saying crazy things, telling the kids that he's going to sue everyone and become a millionaire, and that she wants him to undergo a psychiatric evaluation before having the kids be alone with him. She also said, okay, it was around this time JP's mental health seemed to be really spiraling out of control, and he began acting even more bizarre. He informed me that he was getting into buying guns and shooting, and had purchased a gun safe for his home. As a convicted felon, he's not allowed to have weapons. However, he managed
He's
to
a
get
convicted felon, pastor. He's a convicted felon, pastor.
Further, he was given a special police badge that says pastor to utilize if he ever gets pulled over, so they will let him go. People really were like, wait a minute. Because remember, I told you in the beginning, before he even started the church, he had that incident where that woman was on the hood of his car and he dragged her for like 100 yards.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
But according to Allison, his first wife,
I forgot what it was for.
Removed from the police chief. So people are saying, oh, he's got a good relationship with the police. He's getting away with stuff. Could it be that they're sort of like helping him allegedly get away with it? And that's when people started also bringing up the person who was there when Micah was found, who told police, like, here's her ID and bag and stuff. Okay, they started going after this guy. They were like, he's somehow involved, everything's shady. So he had to come out, and he was basically like, I know this is weird. He's like, I don't know why I grabbed this stuff. I grabbed it. I didn't look at it. He said, quit trying to be investigators. I did not do this. There's no way in the world I would harm anybody like that. Even my worst enemy. I would not do nothing like that. I was just here fishing. But then she also reveals that Micah and Micah's mom were actually reaching out to her for help from JP, which is so weird when you think about it, because if Micah literally was the other woman, like she betrayed the mom of the kids she was babysitting, slept with her husband, ended up marrying him and taking the position, and yet they're still having the kind of relationship where Micah is reaching out to her, being like, help.
Hey, it's Micah. This is my new number. Please don't give it to anybody, but I just wanted to see who your counselor was to help you walk through forgiveness and stuff, and keep your heart right through all of this. I don't want to lose myself in this, and I don't want to pursue anything out of anger or vengeance or anything like that. I just want to be free and keep my soul right. So if you just text me a name, even as a good counselor, I greatly appreciate it. Thanks.
And then Micah's mom is doing it too, and she attaches Allison, like exhibits proof of this. So this is texts from Micah's mom to Allison being like, Allie, I'm begging you as one mother to another, please talk to me. I love you. I pray for you often. Please call me, please. I promise that no one will know we spoke. I'm concerned for the safety of my daughter. I'm asking, begging you not to let JP know I've reached out to you. He will just further isolate Micah from us. Please. Then there's like references to a flash drive that has a video of a minor child fighting against visitation with the father. So like the kids don't want to be with their dad. And then it says video of father admitting to suicidal ideations, use of lithium, mental health issues, as well as the voicemail, social media posts, like things that are extremely damning, it seems like. For now, the judge temporarily suspended JP from having this unmonitored visitation with the kids until he does this evaluation. Micah's family, they struck a deal with the police and JP so that they could get her belongings after the police are done with them, including her phone and car, things that might have information regarding what led up to the situation. and they're considering a civil suit against JP. They're also trying to get this law passed called Micah's Law, which is also known as the coercive control law. They've been trying to get it passed since like 2020, but now with the Micah thing, it applies, and they're trying to rename it and push it through. And I'll put up like the different things that would result of this law. So now that I have given you guys the facts, I want to talk about the theories.
Why did I say it like that? The theories. Also, this is the laptop mic, which is even worse than this camera mic because my really fancy mic went to shit in the middle of me doing this video, and then I uploaded it, and the shit was no audio in there, so I had to redo this whole video. Nobody cares. Bye.
As I was doing research for this, I saw that many times JP said he's going to sue people who try to talk about him possibly being responsible. His attorney came out and said that they're going to be going after people. So I'm going to do what I do when I talk about theories, and I don't want to get sued by anybody, which is this. Okay. You cannot sue me with this on because, look, I know I'm crazy. Allegedly, I'm speculating. Okay. Don't sue me. Okay. So basically, there are three main theories. There's the official story, which took her own life and no one else was involved. Then there's the really sinister story theory, which is JP conspired maybe with other people to take her out, and it was a murder. And then there's the third theory, which I feel like is the most popular one, and that is that she did take her own life, but she was pushed to take her own life, and someone should be held responsible for that. So let's talk about it. So I usually always start with the official story. Basically, when you look at the facts that they've shown, it seems like that's what happened, right? You see her buying the weapon. You see her going by herself to all these locations. She searched the place where she was found. The 911 call, she straight up says she's going to kill herself. Oh, gosh, sorry. What even was it? In the 911 call, she says straight up she's going to do it, right? And so on the face of it, it's like she did it. You look at the cars with JP not being there. But then if you want to start poking holes in that, the way that people are doing it, well, they're like, first of all, I heard people say that the phone call could have been AI, that like it was a fake 911 call because the way she sounded. You know, her lawyer's saying she sounded drugged. People online are being like, it's so easy. They're like showing different apps and things. Like, it's so easy to fake someone's voice with AI and make a fake 911 call. But if she's talking about the location and it pinging, okay, so then how would it be? Is the person they're saying involved the guy who found her? If it's not JP, did he pay this dude to go there, play a recording of a call, like shoot her, find the items, bring it to the, like, whoa, that's like really elaborate. Impossible? No, not impossible, but whoa, like crazy. Also, how do you explain her going and buying the gun? Was she like someone there, like forcing her to do all that? It's harder to believe. What is easier to believe is that she did all these things, but because her life had become torture. When you look at this string of things, you've got these police reports, and some people are saying, oh, well, the police reports are proof that she's crazy, but think about it, right? They were corroborated because the tracking device, right, he showed up. There's video of him showing up. So she didn't put that tracking device and then say someone's following her. He put it on there. He admitted to it. He showed up. Okay. Then he's calling her with the officer there. The officer picks up, is like, stop calling her. They then go to the courthouse and he's lurking there too, because that's where the tracking device went. The officer saw that. Okay. Then he's posting pictures of her. Like, it's bad enough to have your stuff posted, a nude that you sent your husband posted out of revenge, but in the context of the church they're in and all that, that's probably even way, way worse. It's bad for everyone, but I mean, like, the stigma of it is probably so much worse in a Christian church community than it would be in a more, like, liberal, not Christian you know what I mean, community. So she's dealing with that, following this. Then on top of that, it's like he's accusing her of stealing the money, even after all the stuff that happens in March and the police and stuff, and then April nudes. Again, she finds another tracker on the 15th. That's the final straw for her when the officer tells her that we can't do anything about it because you guys are married. That's when she files for divorce. Okay, she files for divorce. Then he gets served. I'm sure she was alerted that he was served. Maybe she panicked. Maybe she said, oh shit, now that I've actually gone through with it, like, now it's on. Like, he's gonna go after her even more now. Maybe she was afraid, like, I'm not up for this battle. Maybe she was taking something. I don't know what the toxicology is. How does that affect? You saw that video of him on the lithium. She didn't seem like crazy like that. She seemed calm. Maybe she was just resigned. Maybe she wasn't on anything and she just was tired and over it, and knew that this battle that she was up against was too much for her. And so in that situation, is someone else at fault? The person who's causing all these things in her life, are they responsible, or is that not his fault and just her fault? She definitely tried to get help from police, from this, trying here, there. No, we'll take the report, but nothing we can do. We'll take the report, nothing we can do. She probably felt like she really wasn't going to get anywhere with the powers that be. Especially when you hear about he has a badge that says pastor and stuff like that. She probably was like, in this community, I'm screwed. They're going to side with him. And maybe she just didn't want to deal with it anymore. Which is so sad, dude.
Yep.
It's really messed up.
Yep.
Anyway, I would love to know what you guys think. If you ask me what I think, I'm leaning towards the third theory. I think that she did take her own life.
Yeah, me too.
But I definitely feel like
if the forensics came back like that, I'm gonna go with
would not
them.
have done so had it not been for
Him.
certain people in her life, allegedly. Like it's supposed to don't see. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Upside for supporting my channel, sponsoring the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
It was good. I'm addicted to Nor Jasmine. Started watching everything she's done. Ozzy dead. Oh. And out he goes on the ground. Uppercut, bitch. Die. Aziz light. Good to get some merits on BST. I'm going to spend them on Dex. Yeah, Dex merits. Die, processionaire. Die. The Skrelly one was good.
I know the first miracle that Jesus did. He turned the water into wine. Your experience from water into wine. Ah.
Are you drunk?
Ready to minister at church, praise God. All prayed up, ready to go.
All prayed up.
These people are worshipping God. They're experiencing something which is known today as the Toronto
Drunkenness.
Blessing.
Drunkenness.
12-year-old Adam was on a church holiday in the country when he encountered the Toronto Blessing.
More.
Oh no.
Believers can behave very strangely.
9 months later, he's still traumatized. Today, Mark Havel is a leading campaigner against the blessing.
We've had so much persecution and very little support from anybody, and that is shifting. The drunken glory going mainstream.
Woo! Be drunk and Holy Ghost.
I am Apostle Brandon Barthrop. Circumcise your hearts and remove the foreskin of your hearts. What that actually means is become Jewish. Hi, Brandon. Nice to meet you.
Become Jewish.
Welcome to the crack house.
Thank you for having us.
The crack house. True crimes, cults, and conspiracies.
Today, I want to talk about the drunken glory movement. It's about getting drunk on the gospel or Christ or the Bible. You know, the amount of laughing and cringing as I was editing this footage, like to the point, like my face hurt, and I even pulled this muscle right here from the doing that, like, And I decided to look into it, and it's nothing that I thought at all. People seem to be kind of like caught by the Holy Ghost or whatever, and they behave in these ways. And I'm sure you've seen, you know, people start talking in tongues.
The territories under which the Canadian office is Shigawa. The movement of the Spirit of God, knowing it's coming.
Yes.
Now I said that by the Holy Ghost. Now I'm gonna say this. This is me talking, all right? Well, I'm still speaking of the Spirit, but on a different level.
This is different. This isn't necessarily speaking in tongues or catching the Holy Spirit. It's what's known as drunk in the Spirit.
Be drunk and Holy Ghost. What are we going to do with him now?
Yeah.
Johnny!
Now, what it is basically that you get so affected and touched by the gospel that you become drunk. You're slurring, you're stumbling, you're doing weird shit. I couldn't help but feel like they were all faking it.
You feel like you need to do that?
I can't do anything about it.
Luke, chapter 2, verse.
They're all drunk.
Like just the like pauses before the laughter, like
Well,
All these people start having like seizures. Oh my god, it like infects the crowd.
And people wanted to feel included, and when they were acting crazy, people were laughing. People pleasing just gone wild. I looked into it. And let me tell you, it really started in the 90s, 1994, called the Toronto Blessing, or is it Toronto? Whatever.
Or Southern Baptists do
Bizarre
this too.
religious phenomenon called the Toronto Blessing has breathed new life into some churches. Believers can behave very strangely.
Story. It is a story of the love.
Falling on the floor and making animal noises.
Yes.
What's going on?
They're drunk.
Actually came for her, man.
Oh, he was farting.
What is this?
We had a bad marriage. It was at one stage so bad I want to kill him. I chased him around with knives.
We had a bad marriage. I chased him around with knives.
More.
Thank you.
Is this really
More.
the work of God?
People were drunk and, on one because of the catching the Holy Ghost. But it was videotaped and televised, and it spread, and it started to gain traction. Then there were people who supposedly experienced this, even children, who were somehow traumatized by this.
12-year-old Adam was on a church holiday in the country when he encountered the Toronto Blessing.
When John touched me last night, God gave me a new heart, and I could love that man down there that I hated when I came here. Now I want another.
9 months later, he's still traumatized.
The first weeks.
He's still
after the
traumatized.
West, he was extremely aggressive and difficult, and it's given him a kind of coldness.
Today, Mark Havel is a leading campaigner against the Blessing.
Did you find that she
But just a few years ago, he was taking similar services himself. He says he started doing it after watching popular evangelists like Joe Jordan.
You've got to make sure that they actually suspend critical judgment. Beyond that, the rest of it is fairly easy. When I actually watch the video of myself doing this, it makes me feel guilty, definitely.
And there was this thing I found, like an old, from the 90s news report about it, talking about the negative things that came from it. And then they had this like hypnotist who was like, they were all under mass hypnosis.
What is dangerous, I feel, is that people feel that it is the work of God.
This video shows the retired Anglican bishop, David Pitches, presiding over a blessing service.
More, Lord, now just pour it in, Lord.
We asked him to take a look at the tape.
In my view, they're under hypnosis.
Then there was this other thing that happened in 1997, which is 3 years after the Toronto Blessing. This one happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Kenneth Hagin is walking around, this preacher, and he's acting like he's drunk and he's needing to be like held up, and he's laughing all weirdly. And then he's like touching people.
Be blessed.
It's like Oprah-like energy of like, you get a car, except he's like, you get touched with the spirit. Now you have fun. You have fun.
Hallelujah. You might as well get in and enjoy it. Might as well get in and enjoy it.
And they're all like, ooh, this one lady's like shrieking. People are stumbling, falling, shaking, dancing. It's insane. This is when we need to talk about two preachers that are televangelists, but they're both called Kenneth. Kenneth E. Hagan and then Kenneth Copeland. And I'm sure
I remember
you've
Kenneth
seen
Copeland.
or heard of Kenneth Copeland.
Oh, this is Kenneth Copeland or whatever.
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
It just died.
It just dies.
Why have you said that you won't fly commercial? You said that it's like getting into a tube with a bunch of demons. How much money did you
In a
pay to
tube
fly
with a bunch
Harry's
of
Gulfstream
demons.
Jet, for example?
Well, for example, that's really none of your business. Listen, I paid. You kind of caught me off guard here. Thank you, Lord. Help me.
Thank you, Lord.
Let me pray. The airplane.
Take me to the demon tube. Take me to the tube full of demons. I want to see
I
it.
couldn't help but buy it. I love your eyes.
You look crazy. You sound crazy.
Here's what happened.
Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say
Inside edition. Don't you ever say I did.
We wrestle not.
He looks like he's
with
about
flesh
to
and blood,
slap her.
but principalities and powers.
He's holding
I
back
love
the
inside
fucking
edition, and it
desire to
thrills me get a
slap
chance to have
her.
my face on inside edition.
Thank you. Kenneth Copeland was actually inspired by Kenneth Hagan.
Oh.
I actually found footage of a younger Kenneth Copeland at this 1997 camp meeting in Tulsa where these people were drunk in the spirit. And then you see him go to Kenneth Copeland, who has begun preaching at that time, and he's like, you know, in the televangelist scene, and he's got a reserved seat, and he's sitting there, and he loses it too. And they're both like feeding off of each other, and the cameras are on them, and it was like wild. So we get to 2008, and there's another revival, whatever you want to call it, called the Florida Outpouring in 2008. This was something that was televised when they had this God TV exposing the world of televangelism to like the internet. And there was a lot of younger people and like reformed, because that's a lot of people who do this are like the reformed. I don't know, what would you call them, like born again? If you were selling drugs or committing crimes on drugs and you were just like living bad, and then you got saved. And so these movements, drunk in the spirit thing, really appeals to ex-addicts because they feel that they can still get that high without getting high.
There's no high like the Most High.
Now we get to the modern day version of what we call the drunken glory movement. It all started with this guy. His name is John Crowder. He's the founder of the drunken glory movement. John Crowder's whole thing, he did this one cringe ass sermon. I don't even know the weird sound.
He looks like Steven Crowder. I wonder if they're related.
Lord, I love your heavy, drunken glory. Lord,
No,
I love it.
no.
Lord, thank you, Father, for the weighty, drunken glory. Okie dokie.
And then you expect me to get up and say coherent words later. Afterwards.
Oh, Lord.
Like, who does that when they're drunk? But then I found this like video of him at some weird ass party.
Your experience from water into wine.
Where they have this big bottle of wine, and some are drinking it, it looks like.
Man,
and
children.
Officially, what they're doing is pouring the wine, like
The
communion,
women
right,
too.
and the bread and whatever. But what they're doing is they're taking a piece of bread. He's like ripping a piece of bread, dipping it in the wine, and then giving it to his congregation as if it's like this hard drug. Where immediately when it goes into their mouth, they're like, "Oh my God! Like I'm tripping on this like wine-soaked tiny piece of bread." And it's like, "Ooh," you know. And I was just like, "What is this?"
A mourning, dirgeful, depressive, introspective, wines flowing freely, the wine of heaven, the broken body of Jesus.
He ends up getting this guy, Brandon Barthrop.
They probably put a lot of
He
vodka
turned
in
on
it
one
or
to the
something.
mystical wine,
and even put up the cash for his wedding to Penny.
Brandon learned from John Crowder. There was a video by Vice News, like over a decade ago, on this Brandon guy, the Drunken Glory movement.
And I hear a voice speak over my head that I will make you more high than all the drug addicts, and I'll make them jealous of how high I get you.
And he's snorting frankincense because Jesus was frankincense. And
Like snort them and huff them and get all jacked up on them.
Does that make you high?
Yeah, do you want to try it? Pour a little on there.
Okay.
Why are you huffing frankincense,
And just
you
bring it right
fucking
into your
moron?
veins and get high on frankincense.
No,
There's
you
high
tatted
like
a
most high.
anchor on your
like,
cheek,
doing
you
what he sees
idiot.
in the Bible, like,
Don't do
lying,
drugs.
Drinking the Bible. I was like, all right, now it's getting weird. He's like, got a crack
You are not gonzo. You suck at it.
house for Jesus. Like,
Hi, Brandon. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the crack house. This used to be the main crack house of this whole area, because this is actually the worst area in Minnesota. The Lord was saying the devil had his crack house. Now I'm going to have my crack house. They're going to get high in my crack.
and then he's like, I actually trademarked my own natural, God approved, Jesus verified drug,
crack.
which is called diamond oil.
I got some other stuff that maybe we can get high on later that's totally like a healthy Holy Ghost body high. It's called diamond oil. I invented it and own the patents on it.
It's like proprietary.
What drug would you compare that to then?
Probably like a clean and pure methamphetamine, actually.
What?
There's even this video of like, when you go to like try on different fragrances and you have the little stick and you spray the paper and you have the different ones. Well, he's like sitting there with his friends or his congregation and they're like sniffing it.
All the samples went out.
Oh.
Sure.
Fucking idiots. Oh. Mixing drugs and religion bothers me.
That was the strongest thing I've ever smelled in my life. Spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Me at Sephora. You're just pretending you're high and then you just probably like afterwards they're like, all right, I'm gonna drive. Like, can they drive home after this? Do they just sober up? Like, I don't know. It's weird.
No.
And then
No.
though, they started beefing. Why? Because depends on who you ask. According to Brandon, he was like, well, competition, money, jealousy.
Competition, greed, wanting to be the leader. If you are the leader of a movement, then everyone is loyal to you to support you financially as their head priest or whatever. And so everyone kind of wants to be the leader.
Versus when John was asked, why did you guys like break away from each other and stuff like that? He was like, well, he just started doing weird stuff.
They do teach some kind of weird things like that that you have sex with God. Just weird stuff like you eat gold dust kind of stuff to somehow glow like a light bulb.
The weird thing though.
Somehow glow like a light bulb.
Over 10 years ago, right? So I learned about Brandon from his Instagram.
When you finish the Hakma of Absolute of Yet Zero and you repented of that keter before you go there, then once you're ready and good to go, you've got all
What are you
confirmation
talking about, you
and the
fucking
indwelling
idiot?
voice of the Holy Spirit, and you've checked your signs and wonders. You've submitted to somebody else who knows what they're doing. You immediately feel that neshama. It lights up fire here.
Oh my
It's either
God.
oil filling up from Bina, right?
Brandon is on Instagram a lot and he's really curated his new look and vibe and thing. Like, he's really got it dialed in. People even comment like, wow, how do you have a hat to like match every outfit? And he's like, it's part of my spiritual powers. He's really into One Piece too, and like fashion. He did like a One Piece fashion show moment, like real thing. Based on this Drunken Glory thing, he creates products that supposedly like give you these, legal highs or Jesus approved highs. But really it's like perfumes and oils and tinctures. His thing is very much about monetizing it. He's tech savvy. It's very much about monetizing it. Even back 10 years ago or more when he was doing that Vice interview, he literally was like, I want a Lamborghini. I want a garage with a bunch of things.
We have big plans. We want to open up, TV studio. We'll have a mansion. I'm going to just be balling. I want an underground heated garage with, a Bentley and a Rolls Royce and a Maserati and a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. There's just no limits to the prosperity.
Then I thought, wow, the power of manifestation. Maybe he's onto something. Because when I was looking at his Instagram recently, he's got like this tricked out car in the garages and he's like filming everything.
What? Where did you get all this money from? All that bullshit you're selling to idiots?
This is my other one.
How about, I mean, what? Like, so you made like $20 million, and then you bought Bitcoin, didn't you?
Serpent level.
You talk like a Bitcoin bro.
Garage here. Prince of Egypt level cardum.
He had this awakening where he's like, I am a Jewish Christian.
I am Apostle Brandon Barthrop, and I currently reside on the ladder of sapphire stones of the Lord Jesus Christ. Yes, yes, yes. Let us focus on Jesus. The razor angels appear. Their wings begin to vibrate with the razors of the Word of God to shred all the foreskins of the nation's hearts.
What?
As it's written in Jeremiah
What?
chapter 4, verse 4. Circumcise your hearts, remove the foreskin.
What are you high on?
Of your hearts.
It's
What that actually
cocaine.
means is
It's cocaine. It's the glasses. It's obvious you're high on cocaine, you fucking nut. And you're high on meth too.
become Jewish. Come on now. That's the sign of his second
Think before
coming.
you
I
speak,
think
junkie.
You better recognize.
They're starting to talk about things like Keter and circumcising your heart.
Your first experience of getting that removed is circumcision. Specifically, when you get to Keter, not just put on externally temporarily to deal with the curse of the fall as you're rising, which we should absolutely do. Everyone knows if you got an iPhone engraved, why would you do that?
Then I started, are they actually on something? Because they're ex-addicts.
Yes.
Like, have they relapsed? Are
Yes.
using? Are pretending
Yes.
that it's not
Yes.
the drugs, but it's the Holy Ghost
Yes.
that is giving them this feeling.
Yes.
And they're wearing these shades
Yes.
and selling stuff that is not what
Yes.
they're using. Like, could
Yes.
this really be the grift? And then ex-addicts think they're going to like stay sober by doing this, but really the people that are
Yup.
telling them to stay sober aren't sober themselves.
Yup.
Like, oh my God, conspiracy
That's
theory.
it.
So basically my question to you is this harmful or not? Doesn't matter. This video is a palate cleanser, okay? My next video is probably going to be on par with everything else I do, but enjoy. Let me know what you think of this. Do you want more palate cleansers to enjoy, or do you want
Yeah,
me to
this
just
was
keep it,
good.
like, all messed up all the time? Thank you so much for watching.
It was good.
Have a happy Halloween. Stay safe. You see the ghost? All right, bye. Happy Halloween.
People that are willing to invoke God are like they just get free money all the time. It's insane. It's weird. Because people think that they're giving God money, I think. It's weird. There's so many grifters in the Christian space. So many.
He acted like he was my dad.
What do you think that thing was that he put together that you got pulled into, Sarah?
A cult. He predicted that my mom was going to die.
And told them he could see into the future and even bend time.
What did you think?
It seemed really cool.
There were other deaths associated with him.
We had kept this a secret for 10 years. He needed a pure little girl so that he could survive. I was 10, and I was in his bed every night. You try not to remember those things.
All these mysterious deaths, and of course in this business you don't believe in coincidences.
He enjoyed the pain. He enjoyed it.
Today I want to talk about the Angel of Death, aka Daniel Perez. This guy is the worst. He was a cult leader and a bunch of people died, and he also did a lot of horrible, horrible things to young girls.
Children.
He
Yeah.
convinced people that he was an angel who was thousands of years old. He was actually 3 angels.
Daniel, Amber, and Arthur. Like, Arthur was mean, and Daniel was kinder. Amber was the angel of death. So she would come around when somebody was going to die.
He's like, I actually died and came back to life, and this is why I'm thousands of years old. I'm just in this body right now, but this isn't really who I am, and I'm a magical person. Like, I can make it rain, like literally, like make it precipitate, and then I can also predict the future. I can see the past. I know who's gonna die, and if they die, I can bring them back to life. I can heal the sick. I can.
He could tell you, supposedly, when you're going to die. and because of Lou, you would come back. It wasn't weird.
So he was like, there's a catch. The catch is I need something to stay alive. I have a weakness. My weakness is that I need pure love. Pure love.
Pure
I'm sure
love.
you can guess where it's going, and we'll talk about that later. But he somehow manages to get a bunch of people to follow him, has this commune, and the people start dropping like flies. Like every 2.5 years, death, death, death. Although police have somewhat connected him to 6 deaths, they only ever charged him for 1. And the reason for that was like some technicalities, there's some theories and stuff. I have my tinfoil hat when we talk about the theories. I want to do what I always do on my channel, which is I want to give you guys the facts. Then we'll discuss the theories and then you can decide for yourself. Right now I'm going to have to pay my bills because I pay my bills are paid. This video is sponsored by Every Plate. Are you surprised if you've been on my channel before? Probably not. Every Plate is actually America's best value meal kit. Did you know that? Why am I being like this? So Every Plate is actually 25% cheaper than grocery shopping. On top of being more affordable, they're very quick and simple. As if that wasn't enough, 100% of their delivery emissions are offset. And they have a 31% lower carbon footprint on average than supermarket meals of the same portion. Not only are they cheaper, but they're easier to make because they're simple, but they don't compromise on quality. They use the highest quality ingredients, sustainably sourced seafood. They meet the Monterey Bay Aquarium seafood rankings. You know that app? I think it's an app. I have it. This particular recipe that I made was so good, and I was able to customize it. So it was originally like a potato bun sandwich, but I tried to like lower the carb and just do it on its own. And it was like this southwestern spiced panko with, I love ketchup and mayonnaise together, but then they add the spice to that.
Me too.
And then jalapenos with the lime. Oh, it was so good. So if you're interested, get $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com and entering the code NOR149. That's $1.49 per meal by going to everyplate.com and entering the code NOR149. Thank you so much to Everyplate for supporting my channel as long as they have. I truly, truly enjoy their recipes and I think you should try it. Okay, thank you so much for watching and back to the video. So the whole thing started in the 90s when Daniel Perez met Patricia Hughes. This was in South Texas. He was 36, she was 19. Patricia ends up playing a huge part in the story because she was his second in command and his ride or die, literally. So Patricia and Daniel.
Damn, I was in this party for like 4 hours. But it was a good party.
They were very, very close. A year after they met, Daniel found himself in trouble because there is a recurring theme here where he likes to be with minor women, girls. Women? What? Girls. There's an 11-year-old girl who was related to him, and she claims that her mom left her at Daniel's place, and that's when he touched her inappropriately. She told her mom filed charges, he pled no contest, and then he fled. He actually fled the day of his sentencing, and his daughter says what happened from her point of view. She says that she was in high school at the time, and he and Patricia came to her high school, took her out of class, and he basically was like, I can't go to my sentencing, they're gonna lock me up. And he was basically saying goodbye to her. This is when Daniel Perez goes on the run. He starts using fake names, fake IDs, fake social security numbers, and Patricia is helping him every step of the way. In particular, she is helping him keep in contact with his daughter. So she would go and take his daughter to whatever secret location he was hiding in. They would meet and she would take the daughter back. And she did that a couple of times. So now it's a year later, it's 1997, and Daniel is in North Dakota. And what does he do there? He meets another young girl. She's 15 years old. Her name is Cara. And he lies to her. He tells her that he's much younger than he is. He says he's in his 20s, but really he's like in his late 30s. And they have a relationship. Apparently it was consensual. Daniel manages to convince Cara that he is magical, powerful, that he can make it rain. Like literally, she says that she witnessed him make it rain. Like I said, not money, precipitation. So she actually takes him to meet her dad, Cara's father. He's like, this dude is not 20. Like, he's way older and too old to be with my daughter. He assumes that Daniel is an illegal immigrant. Daniel isn't. He's Mexican American. He's a U.S. citizen. But he ends up calling Border Patrol on Daniel. At the time, Daniel is going by the name Lou Castro. When Border Patrol show up to the home, they arrest Daniel. Even though Daniel was a citizen, he didn't want to tell them his real name, Daniel Perez, because they would find out he was on the run for these charges. And so he lets himself get deported to prevent giving them his real name. He gets deported to Mexico, but Patricia brings him back to Texas. Corpus Christi, Texas. Kara's dad thinks he's like gone in Mexico, but he's on the phone with Kara all the time. She doesn't know where he is, but they're still in contact. And eventually she is going to come be with him. And now a new person comes into play, and the first death. That is Mona Griffith. And actually, she and almost her entire family would end up dead. So this is what happened. So Daniel and Mona lived in the same apartment complex. And she had 2 kids, a young girl and a young boy. And Lou starts talking to her, becoming friendly with her, and some way, somehow convinces her to move into his apartment with her kids. Patricia also meets Mona, they become friends, and now the little cult is starting to grow. Keep in mind, Daniel's still talking to Kara, and now he's convinced Kara to come join them. And they all move to South Dakota, except for Mona's son. He stayed with his dad in Texas. This is when Daniel starts convincing all of them, really, that he is a seer. He could see into the future, see into the past. He could see when people would die. He could also help heal them when they die. And it was because he was this 1,000-year-old angel. Actually, those 3 angels I told you about that would inhabit him and guide him, and they were different characters with different voices, and he would do like the voices and characters of the different angels. Amber, the angel of death, was a female angel, and he would do the whole mannerisms of that.
He wouldn't blink. He would get this terrible grin that just looked evil.
Part of what helped convince the other people is Patricia. Because remember, Patricia was the first one, his ride or die. And she would tell them, like, I witnessed him die and come back to life. I witnessed these things. I've seen him heal the sick. I've seen this. And so she would help convince the newer members, and then they would all sort of like feed off of each other. At this point, Daniel is kind of like their prophet. He's not in a romantic relationship with any of the women yet. As a matter of fact, Patricia meets someone and ends up marrying him, Brian. Mona also meets someone, and they get engaged, but they're all gonna end up dead. This is where another element comes into play, which is very like Lori Vallow, which, by the way, oh my god, the pigtails, I can't. Like, oh my god, sorry, I got sidetracked by her pigtails. But life insurance. That's the point I was trying to make. So Daniel ends up going with Mona and Patricia, and they go to meet with a life insurance salesman, agent, whatever. So the whole thing was really strange because Daniel was directing everything, like Mona's gonna take out the policy and Patricia's gonna be the beneficiary, and this is the amount. But he never signed anything. He was never the beneficiary. He was just telling them what to do. So Daniel tells Mona to put her daughter, Lindsay, the 12-year-old, as the beneficiary, but Patricia is going to be her caregiver. So she's a minor, so Patricia would essentially have control of the money. They take out a $750,000 policy on Mona's life. Soon after this policy is taken out, Daniel, with his magical powers, starts predicting Mona's death. Of course. He's like, I see, she's gonna die. And lo and behold, something awful happens. Mona's fiance was actually an experienced pilot. And one day, her fiance, James, by the way, James, Mona, and their daughter, Lindsay, are in an airplane. James is flying the plane. And they go missing. Daniel ends up reporting them missing. While the plane was still missing, Daniel and Patricia go back to the life insurance agent. They have no shame. And they're asking for the money.
And the agent is like, what do you mean they're still missing? We don't even have a death certificate. Like, I can't give you the money because they're missing. They have to actually be dead. And he says that they would call and come repeatedly, like, can we get the money? Can we get the money? And then at one point they were like, we really need the money. Like, we can't pay our bills. We're struggling. And the life insurance agent ends up giving them a loan so they could pay their bills in the meantime. And then, though, unfortunately, the plane is found. And it's crashed in this remote area in South Dakota, and there are no survivors. Mona, James, her daughter, they're all dead. And there were some odd things with the way the plane was found.
Normally, if you were landing, you would have your flaps down to slow the plane down. But the flaps were up and the landing gear was down. So the plane crash in itself was odd.
They do an investigation and they come to the conclusion that this was an accidental plane crash. And of course, who gets the money? Patricia. They get the $750,000 and Daniel gets a new Corvette. Mona's relatives were shocked. They're like, first of all, why would she only leave money to the daughter and not the son? Well, Mona's son, he would end up testifying and saying that something really strange happened. He says that after the plane crash, Daniel came up to him and told him, I'm so sorry, Lindsay wasn't supposed to be there, the little girl, and that he was crying. And then he says he took him into a room where there was someone else there and there were some documents, and he told Cody to sign the documents. At this time, Cody's like a young teenager. And so he signs the documents. He says till this day, he doesn't even know what he signed. He says that Daniel told him, don't tell your father. Also, what was weird, there was an obituary that was taken out, and it listed Lou Castro, Daniel's alias, as Mona's brother, which isn't true. So Daniel and Patricia, like Daniel through Patricia, I guess you could say, paid for the funeral and the burial for Mona and Lindsay. And it was during there where Mona's relatives noticed that this whole thing was weird. First, they say Patricia was paying for everything with her checkbook, but like Daniel was telling her exactly what to pay for and what to do. He also told Mona's family, don't tell anyone about me and my group, his entourage, the family, whatever they called themselves. Don't tell anyone about this because it's none of anyone's business. A few months after Mona's death, Daniel, Patricia's husband Brian, and Cara all leave South Dakota. They use the life insurance money to buy a home in Missouri. In the process of buying this home, they meet someone else, Jennifer Hudson, the realtor that helped them with the home, who would become one of the cult members and would also end up there. Jennifer had two daughters, Emily and Sarah. Emily was 10 years old and Sarah was 17 years old. And what happened to them is awful. Like, death may have been better than what happened to these girls. During the course of the sale of the home and everything, Jennifer and Daniel, they become really close, and she starts to believe that he is a seer and that he can protect her and he's powerful and magical and making it rain. She tells her daughters that, like, this guy is amazing. We should join him, follow him, and be a part of what he's doing.
She's like, well, he's actually a seer.
A seer?
A seer. Mom said that he had told her that he was hundreds or thousands of years old and that he could see what was going to happen in the future. And that the reason we followed him was that she just had that instinct and just knew that she needed to be close to him because he could protect her and keep her safe because he knew it was coming.
In 2001, by the time they got to Missouri, 9/11 happened. Daniel
9/11
starts saying, Owen wants me to be a consultant on a top secret project because apparently he claimed he had invented,
Cool.
I think, an inverted.
Now I get to go dump like 4 merits or 3 merits or whatever it is. Yeah, I did great here. I did really good tonight. I got really good 4 merit points. That's pretty good. Gonna buy a dex point with that, and that's pretty sexy. All right, and so now we're gonna do something else. Yay! Chop some trees. I didn't make much money while I was in there because I was too busy to chop, but that's all right. And now I want to go throw this in there.
Airplane tank. And so after 9/11, Boeing wanted him. He had to go and move to Wichita, Kansas, which Wichita was like the airplane capital of the world. They had all the production and stuff for airplanes. So it's like where you go for airplanes. And so he's like, they need me. I have to go. And what ends up happening? All his cult members go with him. And Jennifer, she divorces her husband, sells her house, takes her kids, and goes with Daniel and the cult to Wichita. Like there were 10 acres here that they bought. She bought the other 10 acres. They started building homes, and they had like several homes on 20 acres with like a pool and like a huge garage and like all this stuff. And it's like this huge big compound. This is where they create the commune and compound that would be known as Angel's Landing, where awful things happened. There's even an airstrip on the property, and this airstrip is called Angel's Landing, okay? Which is where the compound name comes from, because I guess, you know, he's an angel and he's landing, you know, Angel's Landing. So this is when the whole pure love thing comes into play. Remember, he said he's thousands of years old, but if he doesn't have pure love, he gets weak and sick and he dies. It has to be the love of a young virgin. And he chooses Emily, Jennifer's 10-year-old daughter. He convinces the group that Emily needs to sleep in the bed with him, but that nothing's gonna happen. It's just pure love. As you can imagine, it wasn't. It was disgusting. Emily says that he basically forced her into having sex with him in a variety of ways, violently. And if she ever resisted or something, he would threaten her. He would tell her that he would die or family members would die. And she felt like it was all on her to do this, to like save people's lives. And she's 10 years old. It's just bad, and it only gets worse. When he would do these things with her, he would call it feeding, like he would have to feed. And then he sets his sights on her sister, Sarah. But with her, it wasn't the pure love. It was different. With her, he said he needed to fix her so that she could get married and have babies. And this was his way of fixing her, was R-wording her. And it's so sad because she talks about asking him over and over again, like, am I fixed yet? Am I fixed yet? The two sisters now are living in hell, but they don't tell their mom because he's threatening them and telling them, if you tell your mom, I will kill your family. And so it went on for years. And they said it happened hundreds of times. Daniel would drink a lot, and he also had a lot of guns, and he would get angry. And so there's this one incident that happened that is just awful, just to give you an idea of the terror they were under. It was 2 a.m. and Emily, the younger sister, she goes to wake up Sarah, the older one, and she tells her, come on, let's meet Daniel in the shed, like he wants to meet us in the shed or the shop. He's upset. When they get there, Daniel is there with Cara. And Daniel basically tells them to strip. And he does so aggressively. And the girls are like hesitating, and they're not wanting to do it. So he grabs them by their neck and he tells them, I can kill you if I want to. And they start crying. And then he tells them to stop crying, and they can't stop crying. So because they didn't stop crying, Daniel, he had a gun, like a handgun on his hip, and he was holding an automatic rifle. He shoots at the girls' heads, barely missing them, and they freak out. And then he tells them, strip, and they do. And then he tells them, walk to the master bedroom. They go outside of the shop, like it's 2 a.m. They're walking naked with Cara, and they all go into his master bedroom. Now, what happens next, I'm going to give you 20 million trigger warnings on this. This is awful. This was from the court records, this incident, and awful. While all this is going on, he is using the name Lou Castro, but really he's Daniel Perez. Now, that case in Texas, in 2002,
I think we can all assume
something really weird happened. A dead body was found in Mexico, and it had a wallet with Daniel Perez's ID on it.
So Texas authorities assume that Daniel Perez is dead and the charges against him that he was on the run from are dropped. And this is when someone else dies because they're spending money like crazy. And so now it's time for a new life insurance policy. Remember Patricia, his ride or die, the person he's known the longest? Okay, well, he takes her to go take out a life insurance policy, and he puts in an additional thing for an accidental death. And it's basically a $2 million policy. And just like before with the other policy with Mona, Daniel wasn't named the beneficiary. Instead, it was her husband, Brian, and Cara. After he does that, he's predicting her death, of course. He's like, she has to cross over. It's time for her to go. One day, something really weird happened. Patricia and Daniel, they go to the youngest girl, Sarah, and they sit her down. Wait, am I confusing the names? Sorry, Emily is the youngest, Sarah is the older one. The 10-year-old, they go to the 10-year-old girl and they sit her down and they tell her, it's time for Patricia to go. And Patricia is there. And so Emily gets upset. She starts crying because Patricia's like a second mother to her. And she's like, no, why? And they're like, don't worry. I'm not like going forever. I'm actually going to come back in a better, healthier body because Daniel's going to bring her back because he can bring back the dead, remember? So this is like for the best, but we need your help. And so she's 10 years old, or 11, I think at this time. She's like, what do you need me to do? They're like, we're going to need you to go along with this story. And basically the story is that Emily is going to call the cops after something happens, and she's going to tell the cops that she witnessed Patricia slip and fall into the pool, and that's what they want her to do. She agrees, and then a week later, it all goes down. First thing that happens is that Daniel makes sure no one else is at the compound, like the other cult members. He has them go to a car dealership because they love cars. They spend so much money on cars. It's just Emily, Patricia, and Daniel. Also there is Patricia and her husband Brian's little daughter. She had just had a baby, like a toddler, I think 2 years old. Daniel tells Emily, listen, you're gonna find Patricia dead in the pool, and you're gonna call 911, and you're going to say
I'm gonna sell all these gold
the
hairpins.
little baby fell into the pool, and that Patricia went to save her. In the process, she slipped, fell, hit her head, fell into the water, and drowned. And you are going to take the little baby and dip her in the water so that the baby's wet, and it all makes sense. And he's like, do you want to be here, like, for everything? And she's like, no, I don't want to be here. He's like, okay, I'm going to bend time for you, because he can also bend time. He's going to bend time so that she's going to be there, but not really be there. So his version of bending time, I guess, is to tell her to go inside while he does this outside. He's like, go inside, take the baby with you, and I'll come and get you. She says while she was there, she couldn't see what was going on, but she heard a scream, and then she heard splashing. And then Daniel came back, and he was heavily panting. His arms were wet up until his forearms, and he looked kind of like sad and worried and flustered. And he told her, he's like, okay, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna dunk the baby in the pool, and then you're gonna call 911 and tell them, you know, the story, but wait 20 minutes before you do that to give me time to get to the car dealership. So Emily does as she's told. When she calls police, she tells them what happened. They come, they do an autopsy. They see that Patricia has 3 blunt force trauma wounds to the back of her head, but since they were told that she hit her head when she fell, and then the girl said she saw it and she drowned, so they said that's what happened, and they rule Patricia's death an accident. Her husband Brian and Cara get the $2 million. Of course, who's controlling everything in that house? Daniel. A month after Patricia's death, Daniel donates about $20,000 to the local police. There's like some vehicle they want to purchase. He gives them money for the vehicle, and he's like, you know, I just want to do anything I can to help this community. The only thing I ask for in return is for you guys to put a sticker on the vehicle that says, like, in honor of Patricia. Daniel was strategically making a good relationship with the police in the area.
One of the officers in the county dated one of the women there for a while.
That was me.
It was you?
Mm-hmm.
He had Sarah dating officers, and also he had these crazy parties at the compound, and cops were invited. Cops would come, cops would party with them. So in the area, like, word spread
Cops
about
would
the
come.
parties
Oh
and
my
like
God.
how much money this guy had, like Angel's Landing, this huge compound, and they have all these fancy cars. The women in the compound, they would go to the liquor store and buy like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of liquor every week. So this is when the neighbors start to get suspicious. There's one neighbor in particular, his name is George, and he owns like a hobby shop that sells these remote control airplanes, which are pretty expensive. They can be like thousands of dollars. It's like a hobby, you know, it's an airplane loving community, and they do this as a hobby. And he says that Daniel would come in and spend tons of money on these toys, these remote control toy airplanes that were really expensive, and tear them up and come back and buy other ones all the time. And that he had like this weird story about where he got all his money. He was like, my family, they died in a plane crash, and I got money from that. And then from that money, I have a cattle business out of state, and I sell cattle to the US government. And he was pretending to be a Native American from the Sioux tribe. His hair was long, and he would wear the jewelry. And that was the persona that he was like projecting. But the George guy thought it was suspicious because George grew up on a farm, and he was like, whenever we would try to like talk shop about certain things about farm and cattle and stuff, like Daniel seemed like he didn't know what he was talking about. And so he thought it was really weird. And the way he had the young women with him all the time at the parties, he's like, there's something about this is not sitting right. And then when he went to his home, he was like, this is really weird, because the home was like, it didn't have any sort of personal items. He said like there were no pictures, there were no cookware, there was no like family things. It was just his toys and like a big TV, and then fast food wrappers everywhere. He was like, they never cooked, like there's no cookware. They just like lived completely off of fast food. He said every time Daniel came into the store to buy an airplane, he had his entourage. He said that like the weird thing too was that Daniel never paid for anything. They spent all this money, and he would be there, but like when it was time to pay, the women would pay. He said at one time he had a vending machine at the store, and Daniel asked him if he could borrow 50 cents to get something from the vending machine, even though they were spending thousands and thousands of dollars. He was like, the guy bragged so much. He was like bragging, I have naked pool parties with cheerleaders all the time. I have all these cars, like every car that I have is like a special edition or a collector's item. And his cars, the thing that he had for cars, the amount of money he spent on cars would actually be his undoing, because it put him on the radar of a particular detective, Detective Ron Goodwin. Now this detective would pretty much become obsessed with this case, would track them for like 10 years, and he would be the one to crack the case. And this detective, he was in the narcotics division, and so at first he thought it was like a drug trafficking thing.
Drew attention to himself with parties, high-optioned vehicles. Each vehicle had an angel vanity plate with a number after it, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Because it doesn't seem like he has a job. Nobody seemed like they worked. When Patricia died, and that $2 million policy cash out was there, he started to be like, wait, is this a drug operation, or what's going on here? So he searches Lou Castro, and he finds the obituary for Mona Griffith, the one who died in the plane crash. Remember I told you about the obituary where he listed him, Lou Castro, as her brother? He finds that and he goes, this is another death with a life insurance policy where him and his group benefited from the money, and now someone else dies. And so now he's like, wait, what am I actually dealing with here? So this is where his obsession begins. So Detective Ron ends up going to the compound, the Angel's Landing compound, and like taking the trash from there, from outside, and like going through all the trash, trying to get like fingerprints, DNA, something, take it to the lab. They couldn't find anything good. And then another time he was driving around town, and he noticed one of the fancy cars with the angel number vanity plate, and he sees that Daniel's in the car with another woman, and he follows them. He was off duty at the time. He followed them. They went to a restaurant. He waited for them to leave. He goes into the restaurant. He's like, I'm an off-duty cop. I want their like silverware and glasses. And he tries to get prints and stuff off of that. It doesn't work. He couldn't get anything. And he really is just obsessed to the point where he's like driving by their home randomly, occasionally on his off hours, on his on hours. This is when he notices
that there's a new person who joined the cult. This person is Megan, and Megan and Daniel would end up becoming a couple, and they would have a child, a daughter. They named her Angelica. Get it? Angel's Landing, he's an angel, Angelica. He finds out that Cara, Brian, Patricia's husband, and the two daughters, Emily and Sarah, had all had life insurance policies taken out on them. And so now he's like, is someone about to die? The thing is, he was right, and somebody did die. Brian, Patricia's husband, was very depressed after she died. He never got over it. And he became really close with Daniel at this time. And Daniel would kind of like make dying sound good by being like, oh, one day you'll cross over and then you'll get to see Patricia.
Gonna shut off all these lights. I'll be right back.
Like, so one day Brian decides to leave Angel's Landing and go back to South Dakota to visit some family. While he was in South Dakota, another person who's part of the group asked Daniel one day randomly, like, oh, when is Brian coming back? And Daniel says, I don't think he's coming back. And he was right. This supposed freak accident happened where Brian was working on a car, like he was under the car, and the jack slipped and the car crushed him and he died instantly. And this was in South Dakota. The thing is, he's experienced at doing this, and everyone who knows him they're like, he would have never, that would have never happened to him. He would have never let that happen because he knows what he's doing. The death was ruled an accident, and of course, there was a life insurance payout. The beneficiary of Brian's life insurance was Cara. Detective Ron finds out about this. So he starts going deeper into their financials, getting whatever he could get legally, and he starts to see a pattern. Every 2 years, someone dies and they get the life insurance money from them. They're blowing through the money in 2 years. Their bank accounts get low, and it's like every time their bank accounts go under $10,000, someone dies. Mona, her fiance, and the daughter died. Patricia died. Now Brian died. 5 people in 5 years. And then 2 years later, what do you think happened? Someone else died. It was Jennifer Hudson, Emily and Sarah's mom, the real estate agent.
I was at the house and I tried to call her a couple of times and she just didn't answer. And then about 5 o'clock, Lou comes downstairs and he says, Jennifer's been in an accident. And I said, she's dead, isn't she? And he wouldn't answer me. And that really pissed me off. So I go running behind him and I said, what did you do to my mom? What did you do to her?
What led up to Jennifer's death was the same pattern, right? All of a sudden, Daniel's predicting her death, and she's not feeling well. She's telling people, like, in the cult, she's like, I feel tired, like, I don't have a purpose. Like, they said she seemed really unhappy. And then one day she just said she was going somewhere in the car, and she never came back. She ends up driving into, like, a dump truck. She veers into oncoming traffic and slams into a dump truck. It's ruled an accident. She dies instantly, but like all the eyewitness reports were saying that there's no way she didn't see it, and even when she saw it, she made no attempts to stop, and it seemed like people thought it was intentional, but yet the police ruled it an accident, and because it was ruled an accident and not intentional, they were able to get the life insurance money. So now this is the 6th death in the cult. And she had $1 million policy, and it also went to Cara. Detective Ron, at this point, he's like, oh my God, if I don't do something, like, more of them are gonna die. And he's desperate to try to get Lou Castro, AKA Daniel's, fingerprints. So he's asking other officers, like, for any tricks and stuff, and this one officer tells him, listen, this is a trick, let's do this. Get a glossy photograph of suspects, like fake suspects. Go to his home in Angel's Landing and say there's been some burglaries in the area, and hand him the glossy photo. And when he grabs that photo, like, you'll get a really good fingerprint because it's a glossy photo. Well, it didn't work, okay? And when the officer gave him the photograph, he grabbed it with the edge of his palm like that, and he put it on a table, and then he would move it around with only his fingernail and like passed it with his fingernail back, and they couldn't even get a print. And so he knew that they were onto him. But the one thing that came out of that was Detective Ron asked him, do you have your ID? Like, can I see your ID? And he's like, no, I don't have an ID, but this is my name, Lou Castro, and this is my social security number. When Detective Ron goes back and runs the social security number, he realizes it's a fake one. Oh my God. Oh, sorry. So Detective Ron files a complaint against Lou Castro for having a false social security number. So I don't know what's happening with my body right now. At this point, a lot of the cult members are dead. Now Daniel's spooked. He's like, they're trying to get my prints. They know what's up. They found out my social is fake. Like, I gotta go. So he decides they need to leave Wichita, Kansas. They need to go somewhere else. And he wants to go to Tennessee. One of the cult members did not go, and that is Sarah. At this point, Sarah was 24. She goes out and she lives on her own for the first time. This would end up really being the cult's undoing, because while she's out in the world now, away from the cult, she meets this guy. And they start dating, he becomes her boyfriend, and she starts confiding in him, and she tells him everything. But she's terrified to go to police. So her boyfriend ends up writing an email to the FBI and basically telling them everything. Like, this email eventually finds its way to who? Detective Ron. Once Detective Ron gets the email, he finds out that Daniel has fled with the rest of the cult and they're in Tennessee. They also find out that a policy, a life insurance policy, was just taken out on who? His own daughter, Angelica. They're like, they're gonna kill the little girl, they're gonna make it an accident, they're gonna get the monies. They end up finding out that he is using the alias Joe Venegas. Using this information, they find out that in the town he's in Tennessee, there was a new bank account that was opened by a person called Joe Venegas. They go to the bank, they get the surveillance, they find the footage of him, and it's him, it looks like him and everything, opening the bank account. And they know that's not his real name. And so they're like, we got him. But keep in mind, they don't know his name is Daniel yet. All they know is he's not Lou and he's not Joe. It's to the point when they arrest him, he gets arrested and goes to jail under John Doe. And he's refusing to tell them his real name. And they're running his prints through the federal database, and there's no match. He pled guilty, and they give him 2 years. And Detective Ron is like, first of all, who is this guy? Like, he's trying to figure this out. So he ends up going to talk to Patricia's relatives. And they tell him, oh, there was this guy named Daniel Perez that she like kind of ran off with, and he got in trouble in the 90s. So Detective Ron does a criminal record search for a Daniel Perez in that area of South Texas, and he finds that there's a mugshot, and it's the guy he knew as Lou Castro. He had these child abuse charges from the 90s, and they're aware of like all the young women around him. They also found out that he was on the run and presumed dead, when really he was not dead, he was right there. They decide they need to talk to the younger girls in the cult. When the detective first started talking to the girls in the cult, they were very loyal. They weren't cooperating. They were still going to visit him in prison, and it took several tries for them to get them to talk. They were building a case against him on the child abuse charges. According to the detectives, Emily, the youngest one, she was the last holdout. She was the most loyal. They spoke to her several times, and she did not want to speak to them. So that all changed for Emily when she went to visit Daniel Perez in prison, and he had been there for months at this time. And she says they got into an argument because he was healthy. She was like, it dawned on her that, wait, he's been in there for months now, and he's healthy, but he told me that he would die if he didn't have the, quote, pure love. Everything sort of crumbled, the facade, because she really believed everything he said. And she's like, you're healthy, you lied. She stopped talking to him, but she didn't go to police. Police were very persistent, and every so often they would reach out again, ask her to talk. And so when they did it again after she got mad at him, she finally agreed to talk. But they did not expect that she was gonna tell them that she, when she was 11 years old, was part of Patricia's murder. Now they're like,
we have a murder case. They reclassified Patricia's death as a homicide. They couldn't charge him with anyone other than Patricia's death because those particular detectives, it was out of their jurisdiction. They end up sharing the information to all these other jurisdictions, and it's up to them if they're going to charge Daniel with any of them, but they don't. They said they've looked at the cases over again, and they still think that these deaths are accidental. They didn't even change them to like unaliving or whatever. They charged Daniel Perez with murder, and like he had 28 charges, just all the abuse charges, like all the identity theft stuff, the fraud, all of that. He pleads not guilty. And so then the case goes to trial.
I'm asking you to hold this man accountable for all the crimes that he's committed.
Not one shred of evidence that Mr. Perez is responsible for that. Patricia Hughes, an accident.
During the trial, one by one, a lot of the young girls testified, and it was awful. Like, they just said everything. Then it was time for Daniel to take the stand.
Daniel Perez, taking the stand in his own defense today.
Did you in any way plan to murder Patricia Hughes?
No.
Did you in any way kill Patricia Hughes?
No.
Was that an accident?
Yes.
Were you even there when it happened?
No.
Did you in any way force sex on Emily when she was underage?
No.
Any way force sex on Emily at any time by
No.
force or fear or threat?
No.
Did you tell Emily that it was Trisha's time to die a week before June 26th of 2003?
No.
Tell her that she had to help you because you couldn't be too close when someone passed over to the other side.
No.
Because you could get sucked in because you were an angel, right?
No.
So when he was asked why he went on the run in the 90s, he was like, I didn't go on the run. He said, I was gonna go to the sentencing, but I got kidnapped by 4 men in uniform who brutally beat me and left me for dead. He's like, I don't know where they left me. I think it was in Mexico or Texas. When he woke up, he had amnesia. And Patricia was there. Patricia saved him. He said that Patricia's the one who gave him the name Lou Castro, that he never knew his name was Daniel Perez until he got arrested and they told him his name is Daniel Perez. Even though he didn't remember the charges or his name, he still knew who Patricia was because they asked him, okay, if you don't remember anyone, how would you go, like, how would you remember her? So he's like, no, she's the only thing I remembered about the abuse allegations, like the R word and everything he did. And he said, no, that's impossible. I could never have R-worded anyone because I have a medical condition, a genital injury that actually prevents me from being able to have intercourse with an unwilling participant. So then they asked him, they're like, okay, so this whole angel thing where you say you're thousands of years old, like, did you claim to be thousands of years old? He's like, no, but I smell like I'm 150 years old because I have a lot of horses. And then they were like, did you claim to be a seer who could predict the future and this is why they followed you because they thought you were an angel? He was like, no, reason why they called me a seer is because I would always say, do you see what I'm saying? And it was just like a nickname for me. They basically denied everything. And then it was time for the jury to deliberate, and it took them like 3 hours only. They came back with a guilty verdict on all charges.
Guilty, guilty, and guilty. Daniel Perez heard that 28 times today.
You know, usually somebody takes responsibility for something, anything.
Damn right.
And he accepted responsibility for nothing.
So Daniel ends up getting 2 life sentences plus 400 something months, and he's not eligible for parole for 80 years, which he would be 120 years old when he's eligible for parole. So basically he got a life sentence. After he got sentenced, he sent this weird package to the news.
Daniel Perez sent the box to Deb Ferris. She's here to tell us what was inside.
Well, Susan, this is the box that came to me in the mail last week from Daniel Perez. Inside, we found some very strange things along with this letter.
In it, it says, first and foremost, I did not kill Patricia or rape anyone or anything like that. He goes on to say a detective from the sheriff's department had been following him. Also in the box, Perez sent clothing, a jacket, t-shirts, boxer shorts, along with prescription medicine for heartburn and high blood pressure, even his social security card. and files filled with thousands of his court records and handwritten notes from his trial. At the end of his letter, he says, "I am on my way to prison for now. I don't know what I want you to do with this. Just read it. I hope someone will tell my daughter that her daddy did not do those things they said he did." And it was signed Daniel Perez.
He has like a job in prison, I found out, but I couldn't find out what his job was. And then he had like a minor infraction once for unsanitary practices. And I want to talk about the theories, and really it's really just like one basic concept or idea is he responsible for the deaths? The only thing with Patricia is that he supposedly did it to her. His hands were wet, he held her down. With the other ones, they were alone, and he sort of convinced them to kill themselves. Is he responsible for that? You know, and there's that one case where the girl was texting her boyfriend or something like a million times, telling him to like end his life, and she was found guilty. So, you know, it's happened before. And then and she was just his girlfriend. This is a full-on cult. So I feel like he should be somewhat responsible for it. It's clear from the other cult members that they believed him when he had a vision that someone would die, and that they believed him when he said he could bring them back, but they never came back. So he lied to them, obviously. So I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't seem like he's going to ever be charged with those because, number one, those investigations have not been reopened. And number two, he already has a life sentence. So I don't know if it's just more of just the principle of the fact and being found guilty, like getting the justice, because the punishment wouldn't change, like he would still be in jail. So I think maybe they don't want to maybe put resources towards it, or I'm not sure. I think that he is responsible, at least partially. But also, like, there's a part of it of, like, your own free will. Like, if someone didn't actually kill me and they just said things to me, like, it wouldn't work. Like, you're not going to make me kill myself. Like, me, nobody could ever make me do that to myself. But just because nobody can do it to me, does that mean that other people shouldn't be protected if someone tried to do it to them? Kind of thing. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I really want to know what you guys think. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Everyplate for supporting my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Acting weird. Reload. Oh, you're like glitching out now.
Police in New Jersey are hoping to revive a cold case that's more than 20 years old. In 1996, Selena Mays disappeared without a trace.
Selena was 12 years old at the time and 9 months pregnant.
Well, today they've released a new photo showing what she would look like today, and they're hoping someone knows where she is.
When Selena disappeared in 1996, there wasn't the social media that we had now. We can reach tens of thousands of people in just a couple hours.
The age-enhanced photo has just been released by the Willingboro Police Department on its Facebook page. Police say they'll continue updating her photo, hoping she'll be found. Detectives have traveled to Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, and several other states trying to track down leads with no evidence of foul play and no word on her whereabouts.
I
am hopeful that she's alive. Just weird because it's like, I know I have another sister, but I never really got to meet her.
Selena's family and the strict Mount Holly church they attended back then were less than cooperative with the investigation. There's always been speculation she was taken away by family friends or perhaps murdered to keep the identity of the baby's father secret. The Selena Mays case is cold. It's been more than 20 years, but they say they haven't given up.
And we won't stop until we find her.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel.
Today I want to talk about Selena Mays. Selena has been missing for 25 years, exactly to this day, well, of when I'm filming. The authorities have recently come out and they're asking for information. Her family came out and asked for help as well. That's kind of why I wanted to make this video. Also, the case is insane. I can't believe I've never heard of it until now. Selena, when she went missing, she was 12 years old and 9 months pregnant. Okay? I know, it's bad. It's bad. So as you can imagine, Selena's life was pretty messed up. And at the time of her disappearance, she was living with 15 people in the house. And, you know, they were her family, but they were also, some people called them a cult, other people called them a church family. And we're going to get into all of that. If she was alive today, she would be 37 years old. And her baby, if her baby was alive today, would be 25 years old. The police have released age progression images of her and what she might look like today.
On the left, you can see what she looked like then. On the right is an age progression of what she might look like today.
They're basically hoping that with social media, this story can reach a wider group of people than when this case happened, which was in the 90s. Some people believe that Selena was met with foul play. Other people believe she ran away and she's like in hiding right now. Maybe she's alive and well and just hiding. So I want to do what I usually do on my channel, which is I want to give you guys the facts. We'll discuss the theories and then you can decide for yourself. But first, this video is sponsored by Sundance Now. Sundance Now is an ad-free, so you don't have to listen to me doing this over there, streaming service created by AMC Networks. There are already so many shows to binge, exclusive content. You're not going to find this anywhere else. So if you feel like you've seen everything on every platform, Sundance Now might be for you. The cost of membership can be as low as $4.99 a month. You can use your phone, whether it's Android or iOS. You can also use Amazon Fire TV, Roku. So I have another recommendation for you. This series is called The Pact. They already have 2 episodes and new episodes come out every week. Basically, there's this brewery and the boss is found dead, and then there's 4 employees that all of a sudden take a pact of silence and they have this weird secret. And then one of the people, the employees, Anna, her husband is a cop. He's wondering if his wife is involved in this conspiracy or what. Highly recommend. Start streaming your next obsession, and if you use my code NOOR, N-O-O-R, you get your first month free. Thank you guys for sitting through that, and thank you to Sundance Now for sponsoring this video. Okay, so the whole thing started on December 15th, 1996, and it happened in New Jersey. So in doing research for this case, I noticed that there aren't a lot of videos and pictures to be found, and some of these people I couldn't even find a picture of. Maybe I'm not good at what I'm doing and you guys can find a picture. If you can, let me know. But I thought I found them, but then it was like somebody in Africa and like in Cameroon. But I did find tons of newspaper clippings. So according to Selena's family, the last day they saw her was December 15th. It was a Sunday. They went to church and they came back. When they came back as a family, all the people who lived in that house, they had ice cream. Keep in mind, she's 9 months pregnant. She has her bowl of ice cream. She's 12 years old. She puts her bowl in the sink and then she kisses everyone goodnight. And according to her father and her stepmother, she said something. She said, "Thank you for everything." And some people think this is a very important thing that she said, but she said, "Thank you for everything." And then she went upstairs and she went to bed. According to the family, the next morning, they sent her little sister, she was like 4 years old, they sent her upstairs to go wake up Selena to have breakfast.
Norael Mays was just a little girl when her sister Selena Mays vanished.
I went upstairs, actually pulled the covers back, and there was pillows there.
They believe that she ran away. The thing is, she left some very important items behind. Her purse, her prenatal vitamins, which she was very diligent about taking, and her portable CD player, like her Walkman, or is it a Walkman? Everyone says that she loved the Walkman. It was her prized possession, but yet she left it behind. It seems like Selena left with just the clothes on her back. I don't know if she just left in a hurry, or she thought she was coming back, or she didn't leave willingly. This was, of course, very concerning. Not only is the 12-year-old missing, but she's pregnant. Not only is she pregnant, but her due date is in 2 weeks. It's December 15th. Her due date is December 29th. Plus, Christmas is coming soon. So the whole thing was really strange. And this is, in my opinion, horrific detail, but I'm going to tell you because it matters. But she was scheduled for a C-section. The OBGYN said that she actually had to have a C-section because she was 12. So her body was like too small to naturally give birth. The family says they last saw her 11 p.m. on the 15th when she said thanks for everything and went upstairs. Nobody calls 911, so a full day, nothing. The day after that, they call the police. Initially, police treat it as a runaway situation and not a missing persons case because the parents said, like she put the pillows there and she left. So they're like, okay, well, she ran away. She'll probably be back by Christmas. We're not really going to make a big deal out of this.
Christmas.
But then Christmas comes around and Selena's still gone. It's now 4 days before her due date. And that's when police are like, okay, maybe she's missing. So they decide to go public. And once the news went public that this pregnant 12-year-old is missing and the whole situation, the family turned on each other. They were publicly blaming each other. You had the mother side of the family being like, how did she get pregnant with them? Who's the father? What's going on? You had the father side of the family, which are like, well, we had a custody battle with them. They probably kidnapped her. We think they're involved. They have the means to do it. They don't like us. They treat us bad. There's a quote from Selena's dad, and he says, Selena had planned this. She had a desire to leave. To understand how we get to this point, you need to understand Selena's childhood. As you can imagine, it was a very tumultuous childhood. And this poor little girl, she had it rough from the minute she was born. She was described as a frail infant. Selena was born on May 28, 1984. Her mother was an exotic dancer and she was addicted to drugs. And her father was an aspiring musician and he was also addicted to drugs. Her mom's name is Lynn Vitale and her dad's name is Crescenzo Mays, but they call him CJ. So we're going to call him CJ Mays or CJ. The relationship between Lynn and CJ was very tumultuous. By 1990, CJ and Lynn have separated. They never got married and now they're separated. So Selena is 6 years old when her parents separate. Now, once the parents separated, they actually cleaned up and sobered up and went on to live functional lives. Selena's mom got a job as a custodian at the school in the area that they were living in. Selena's dad sobered up too. He says that religion is what helped him sober up, and not just any religion, but his sister's church. He ended up moving in with his sister, and she was running this church, this congregation. CJ's sister, Sarita Smith. I'm going to be saying this name a lot. Remember it. Reverend Sarita. She ruled with an iron fist. Although CJ credits his sister and his faith for helping him get sober, Lynn, Selena's mom, she felt like he was getting radicalized. So much so that she stopped letting Selena go over there because she just felt like it was too much. And keep in mind, Selena's mom, Lynn, she also had a religious awakening. When she was trying to get sober, she started going to church. She would go to church with Selena. So it's not like she was completely against that. It's just that she felt like what CJ was doing with his sister Sarita was a bit too much. So by all accounts, Selena and her mom were super close, but tragically, in 1994, Selena's mom died from a brain aneurysm. Selena's mom had a pretty decent life insurance policy. It was $50,000 in the 90s. I'm not sure how much that would be worth today. Selena's mom's family felt like the only reason why the dad's side wanted Selena was to try to get some of that life insurance money. And so they were fighting about it and they didn't want her to go. But the judge ended up siding with CJ Mays, the father, and Selena went to live with her father in that house with 15 people, including his sister, Sarita Smith, the pastor, and she became immersed in this life. Quote, somewhere between a dozen and 15 people live in the house on Crestview Drive and in 2 apartments at the parish house next to the church on Washington Street in Mount Holly. The residents include May's wife, Yvette, his stepson, Enrique Tharps, 18, Smith and her husband, so that's Sarita, and the Smiths' 5 children, who include 2 teenage sons and a 23-year-old son, Sean, who has 3 children of his own, 1 by his wife, 2 by previous partners. All are members of the church in Mount Holly. The children are schooled there, and most of the adults, including Mays and his wife, Yvette, work there. When Selena's mom died, Selena was 10 years old. By the time she was 11, she got impregnated. They are against abortion. So when Selena was pregnant, they decided she's going to keep the baby. Basically, Selena was about to be a mother before she became a teenager. Let that sink in. When her due date came and went by the 29th, and there was no record of any kind of birth in the hospital of someone who matched her description, which is a very rare description. It's not every day you see a 12-year-old giving birth. Remember how I told you some people call this church a cult? Yeah, those people are the ex-members. Stop. Quote, they say Selena had no contact with the outside world. That sounds absolutely right to me, said Goldman, a former church member who left the congregation 5 years ago. They want to shut you off from outside communication. He said that he and his wife, who was also a former member, describe the church as a place where Smith, the pastor, rules with absolute control, and where the congregation of about 20 to 30 functions as one family. According to Goldman, who at one time lived in Sarita Smith's house, the pastor determines every detail of her congregants' lives, from whom they should marry to what bills they should pay. Nothing is operated in their household without her consent. She has a controlling spirit that's unreal. The littlest thing you can think of, she controls. So Goldman and someone else, another former member, a year before Selena vanished, they went back to the house after leaving the church to try to get the other family members of theirs that were still there. And Sarita called the police for trespassing. Quote, it was a happy-go-lucky place until you were disobedient. As long as you were doing what she wanted you to do, it was fine. That's how they trap you. And then the neighbors started speaking out. They were belligerent. They got really loud, said former resident Dan Aubrey, who filed one of the complaints. They would not listen to any request to quiet down. It was primal screaming, pure guttural. He said Sarita Smith responded over an amplified microphone, quote, Mount Holly, this is war. I'll fight you all. Glenda Aubrey of Willingboro recalled the day she first met Pastor Smith. She had just left the courthouse in Mount Holly when Smith approached her and her sister-in-law, Dorothy Aubrey, who had just lost custody of her 2 children. She befriended her and asked her to come live with her, Aubrey said. Her sister did, but eventually became disillusioned with the way the church raised and spent money and the control the pastor tried to exercise over everyone, including her own children who came to visit. Like other members, Aubrey was frequently dispatched to sell pretzels outside supermarkets and other stores, but she did not see the proceeds of those sales reflected in the spare lifestyle she was afforded. She, Smith, starts out helping people, Glenda Aubrey said, but they end up working for her. The records show church members live in crowded conditions and support the church by selling pretzels and Mary Kay cosmetics. And they also just solicit donations at the mall. So I did some digging about their financial records. Sarita was declaring that their annual income, revenue, whatever you want to call it, was around $200,000, tax-free. CJ and Sarita really want you to believe that Selena ran away. And CJ, her father, claims that he thinks she ran away because he had threatened her with a paternity test to find out who the father was because she wasn't telling him. He said, quote, "I think she was running scared." So that leads me to the elephant in the room, which is, who is the father? So the OBGYN, she says that Selena's dad asked her to figure out who the father was because Selena wasn't telling him. And when she asked Selena, Selena said it was a 16-year-old boy from another church. A lot of people didn't believe it. They felt like maybe the father was the father. Nasty, gross, barf. Quote, Crizonzo CJ Mays, Selena's father, upset by swirling rumors, told police that he had had a vasectomy 2 years ago. Last night, police were waiting for Mays to bring in his medical records. But there was one article that said the doctor confirmed that he had a vasectomy. Selena's half-brother, Bob Benaglio, of whatever, somewhere in Michigan, said he spoke to the girl briefly before she disappeared. He said she couldn't speak to him because her father was in the background telling her to get off the phone. Benaglio said he told Selena to give him a sign she was unhappy living with her father by pushing a button on the telephone. He said his heart broke when he heard a beep. If it isn't the father, who is it? Well, Selena herself, according to the OBGYN, said it was a 16-year-old boy who was from another church. When would she have had a chance to get with this 16-year-old boy from another church and get pregnant and all that? Well, her father's like, well, she has freedoms. I don't know what you guys are talking about. She goes bowling, she goes roller skating. He said, quote, "We're not the closed group that we've been portrayed. We have liberty just like anyone else." So that's where people believe that maybe she met this guy bowling and somehow snuck off, had some opportunity for them to get pregnant. Probably didn't take that long. And that's all it took, and that's how it happened. Then there were the other rumors. The rumors about Selena's cousin, Sean Smith. He was 21 at the time of her disappearance. Can you guess who Sean's mother is? Did you guess Sarita Smith, the pastor, Reverend Sarita? Did you guess her? Because if you did, you'd be right. Yes, that was her son who lived in the house that they all lived in together. And the streets were talking, and they were saying that Sean Smith was the daddy. The rumors got worse when the local newspaper published an article, quote, "The pastor of the Gospel of Christ Ministry said Sunday that her niece, Selena Mays, deceived her family about her pregnancy, never revealed the father's identity, and tricked the family again by disappearing in the middle of the night. Quote, she lied all along," the Reverend Sarita Smith said from the pulpit during worship services here. On Sunday, Smith emphatically denied that she knows the identity of the baby's father or had anything to do with the girl's flight. "I can't watch anyone 24/7, she said. "Only God can do that, and I'm not going to play God." She said that Selena made a choice to flee, just as she made a choice to have the sexual intercourse that led to her becoming pregnant. Had she been forced into it, the pastor suggested Selena would not have hidden her pregnancy for 4 months as she did. Quote, "The Bible says you cry out," our word. "The Bible says you cry out molestation," Smith said. Smith contended that it is not extraordinary that Selena did not reveal who impregnated her, noting that, quote, "every woman does not reveal the father," end quote. And the pastor made clear she considers Selena as much a woman as a child. Quote, 12 years old is but a number. Smith said. Some 12-year-olds make you think that they're 18 years old. Wow. During the service, Smith said,
Wow.
I have no fear of what God has chosen. I don't fear where Selena is. I'm not asking the Lord to quickly do anything. Damn, so she's like, I'm a pastor, but I'm not even going to pray for her. Smith said that she had an inkling that all was not right 2 days before Selena disappeared. I knew she was up to something. I warned her that you lied all through this pregnancy. This is an evil and perverse generation, Smith said. February 15th, 1997, 2 months after Selena went missing. And everyone basically saying that she's fine. I definitely believe she's alive and being kept somewhere, said John Sweeney, the Willingboro detective. Her dad said the same thing. I think she's fine, said CJ Mays. She's strong and independent-minded. I just wish she'd give us a call. That's the gut-wrenching part. I want my daughter to be happy. I would love for her to want to come back and be a family. But if Selena is big and grown, I'm behind her in whatever decision she makes. Even the mother's side of the family said she was fine. I know she's okay, said Cindy Cram, Selena's aunt on her mother's side. All this optimism stems from a belief that the 12-year-old did not walk away on her own. And then on top of that was the fact that police said they didn't really find evidence of foul play, but you need to understand that they weren't even allowed to search Selena's home. So even if they haven't found evidence of foul play, that doesn't mean that evidence doesn't exist. And if you're wondering why they couldn't search the home, I'm going to tell you why. I got really excited there. When police asked to inspect Selena's home on Crestview Drive, family members refused. Police sought a search warrant, which was also denied. The family must be presumed to be a victim in this case, the judge ruled. Mays says his sister, Smith, decided how much of the house police could search. But he said that he was not pleased with the, quote, attitude that the officers displayed. You had to be there to understand, he said. His sister was taking control. And it's not her daughter. So I don't know, that's kind of, if it was my kid, I'd be like, move away, search whatever you gotta search. While pursuing various leads, the police quickly grew frustrated with the family. It took officers close to a month to obtain interviews with all of the approximately 35 children and adults who live at Selena's house or worship at her church. Normally, families are breaking our door down to find out what's new in the investigation, one Willingboro officer grumbled. This family, we have to ask to come in. Police have managed to interview most of the members at least once, Lieutenant Donna Dimitri noted, but requests for follow-up interviews have sometimes gone unanswered. And the insurance policy, the one I told you about, the $50,000 one, well, according to Selena's uncle from her mother's side, Levitt has been trying for 2 years to keep Mays from receiving the proceeds from his late sister's life insurance policy. We want to see it go into a trust for Selena until she's 19, he said. And he asked a lawyer in New Jersey to move to get custody of the girl when she is found, as if it couldn't get worse. On January 31st, 1998, a bombshell. There was an arrest of a church member. Quote, police arrested the son of the pastor of the Gospel of Christ Ministries Thursday and charged him with SAing 2 minor girls who were members of the church. Sean Smith, 23, remember him? The one that all the rumors were about? Well, he was charged Thursday with having sexual intercourse on numerous occasions with 2 girls, one of whom was 14 and the other 13. When all this began, police declined to comment on the connection between him and this arrest and Selena's disappearance. According to the complaint, Smith had sex with the first victim from 1992 to 1994 and with the second victim from 1993 to 1995. And Selena was 9 months pregnant in 1996. Wow. Wow. Several members of Smith's family, in addition to his wife, were in court for his bail hearing, including C.J. Mays, Selena's father. all declined to comment to reporters. Smith has denied any knowledge or connection with Selena's disappearance. He pleaded innocent to the charges filed against him. He was released on $50,000 bail shortly after his initial appearance before the judge, blah, blah, blah. Those are the facts. Now, let's discuss the theories. So, basically, my dog. So there are two main theories. There's foul play or runaway. So let's begin with the runaway theory. The things that are leading to the runaway theory are the fact that she put pillows, if we're to believe that official story, then she put pillows under the blanket to make it look like she was there because she was planning to run away. If she had a boyfriend that she was in love with, maybe she wanted to go with him, especially when her aunt spoke out and said 2 days before she disappeared, she told her, you lied to us and you deceiver and all this. Maybe she felt like, I don't want to be here anymore. This is horrible. And she left. But then it's kind of like, well, why didn't she take her Walkman CD player, her purse, her prenatals? Was she trying to get rid of the baby? Why at the 9th month, 2 weeks before her due date? I mean, it's maybe, but I don't know. If she did run away, her OBGYN said that she would need a C-section. So either she flew under the radar and went to the hospital, or she didn't go to the hospital. Could she have gone to a hospital really far away? And so that's why we don't know about it. You know, and then there's police saying that there's no evidence of foul play. Quote, there's no evidence of foul play, McCann said, but it's not something we can rule out, particularly because it's been so long. So let's talk about the foul play theory. First, again, it's the same thing where it's like, why would she run and leave her things behind unless she was maybe lured away and she thought she would be coming right back? Like maybe somebody from the house was like, let's go do something. I don't know, something. And then she thought she was coming right back, but then something happened to her and she never came back. And then that person staged those pillows or something. I don't know. Remember, CJ, her father, said that he had threatened her with a paternity test to find out who the father is. What if it was Sean and he was in the house and he heard her father being like, I'm getting a paternity test, that's it, and freaked out and was like, we can't let this come out that, you know, I was basically sleeping with his daughter. So if we're operating on the Sean theory, which is the most popular theories, the next thing that comes up is, well, did his mother help him in any way? I mean, when she did her interview, she seemed like she was blaming the victim. Then there's another theory, which is kind of like an accident theory. And this theory is like, what if Selena either had an unofficial abortion or birth and it went horribly awry and she died, the baby died, one or the other, both, and that whoever was around and involved covered it up after the fact, even though they didn't do anything intentionally. But then once the accident happened, they were like, oh no, we're gonna get in trouble, we need to hide this. That's also a theory. It's a lot, and you know, this is just the craziest thing ever. I can't believe that I'd never heard of this case. If anyone has any information or thinks they have something, please call. I'll put the information down here. It's the Willingboro Police Department at 609-877-2200. I hope that she's somewhere off grid, living off the land, eating organic food, living her best life. I don't believe that's the case. I think she's dead. I think somebody killed her and the baby. Honestly, if you want to know what I think, I'm going to tell you what I think. I think Sean did it, and I think his mother, Selena, helped him, not maybe with the thing, but maybe after the fact or something. And I think her dad is brainwashed to the point where maybe he refuses to see it, or maybe he's involved too. I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to Sundance Now for sponsoring this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
It's really raining. It's been really, really, really raining for hours. Well, that sucks. I can't fix it either. I mean, that like this that renders this basically worthless. I didn't know it was like that. So I guess this is a better situation. I can always just come over and drink. Yeah, I can just come over and drink water like right here, which is cool. I like that. I want to do a base.
Trader Rec is closing shortly, so finish your damn business or come back tomorrow, if you're still alive.
Yeah, I want to make another wood cellar door. But I want to make it here. I don't know. I think the game is too its graphics are too high. I think it should be a native AA and shadows distance should be turned off. That's not it, is it? Is it the shadow quality? It is the shadow quality. Yeah. But medium's okay. That does much better. I'm dead. Somebody killed me. Scum of the earth and Griffin hits me for 99 torso. I mean, Okay. Oh. What happened to my thingy? What? The hell? Cool. Yeah, fix it. Fix it. As much as possible. We'll just frame it. Who cares? But first we'll fix as much as possible. Yep. There, see? Fucking perfect. I was gonna turn these other lights out. Yeah, I'm staying up late tonight. Okay. Oh, Dad. Don't destroy this. No, what happened? No. No. Damn it, how did this happen? No. Damn it. How did that even happen? Damn it. Yeah, I haven't seen these yet. Forget about this. Oh. Oh, yeah, cool. I'm gonna put a bunch in my wallet. Fucking sweet. Oops. Yeah, I lost 2 axes and like 100 wood. But that's fine. Had no set, so... So annoying. Well, I'm learning the game.
Here's a little secret I wanted to show you guys. Now, before we start, this is 100% cheating, and I'm pretty sure the Fun Pimps will patch this out as soon as they find out, because this is pretty bad. This is version 1.1, and you can do this on any single player game or server, which, yeah, I don't really shouldn't be showing you guys, but I'm showing you guys anyway, because it's interesting that it actually works this way. So go and grab a wooden solid door and craft that. Once that's done, you can go up to any wall like this, place that solid door down, and you can open it up. Now, I have done a video on a elevator build that I was showing you guys. So it's a similar concept, but this way you can get into any wall basically. You can't keep still, you gotta move around, and once you move around, you glitch straight through the wall. Yeah, you can only imagine what you can do with that. So here is another example of this little trick here. If you go and make a complete square and put nothing inside, you can place a hatch like this, open it up, and go and close it to get yourself inside. Move around about like that, and you are inside the blocks, guys, which means if you had zombies on the outside, like I'm trying to play zombies there, you will see now when they try and get me, they are going to try and go for the easiest path, but there is no easy path because it's all fully secured in concrete, and they are a little bit confused, as you can see. So that can keep you safe during the middle of Horde Night if you wanted to.
Just follow the step as I do and do the same thing, connect every wire in the same step that I'm doing, and everything should be fine. Don't forget to put the fuel and turn on the generator. On the screen you can see the step to follow to make sure you connect. Let's make a test with the G. That's the last thing we have to do to make sure everything is working good, that you can enter. And after that, we can exit without any problem. But for sure, in a real game, the underground base will be bigger than that. This is that little hole is just to show you how the flat garage door is working. Let's go out. I have an extra video to show you. That's a combination of all my doors combined together.
Okay, guys, I think I'm going to stop here. This has been a fun session. I'm going to optimize for graphics again. Quality. Okay, I'm going to go out the business of stopping now. Oops. Hmm? 2 in the morning. Yes, I'm at 1 million. Oh, very good. We're like, cool. Faulty logic. I have lost a lot of my ships, I guess. I lost like a lot of my ships. Yeah, I did. I lost a lot of my ships somehow. Well, that's not right. Can we go back? Autosaves are probably not too good. Let's go back to where I was, and I'll lose a couple of hours. That's fine. Oops. Went too far. But I caught it. I think I will stop here, guys. It's Friday. It's Friday night going into Saturday. I'm tired. It's raining. I would like to go to bed. You know, I'm out of it, and I think it's a good natural time to stop here. So I'm just putting my character away for the night. I'm gonna come see if my set is here or what. They took it all. No, they didn't take it all, did they? They took this all, or no, it's just been so long that the bag's gone, I guess, or something. I don't know. Or they probably just took it all. It's fucking dumb. Oh, I'm still making money, so. Oh, good. My ships are still intact. Flying around that system, Holy Vision, was probably a bad idea. But exploring Silent Witness might not be too bad. Yeah, patrol Silent Witness. Cool. Okay, and you are doing what you were supposed to do. And I am going to log here with a reminder that you have been watching Skycat Live. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day.